OBS?
Yeah. Now I am. Before I was thinking about Video Ninja and everything, and setting that up. And
So
all right.
how are
we're
you
live,
gonna-
by the way. We should be
Oh,
live now.
hello. I'll let you do your intros. You do your thing. You're the professional here, not me.
I'm not. Okay. I'm not even logged into YouTube, so I can't see anyone's comments. Hey guys, I'm Sonolar. This is LSGDean. We are here to answer one question. Why do we play role-playing games? And then we talk shit.
Favorite answer. I'm going to give you your favorite answer. Fun.
Fun. We do it for fun.
Why do we play RPGs, Zonalar? That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
I don't even want to answer this question yet. So this is, I'm doing a YouTube trick. You open up a loop and then you ignore it and close it later on. So people have to watch to know, to know what's going on. So spamming the link in the Discord.
It's like when there's a tragedy in the news, but they want to tell you about weather and the sports first, and you have to wait to know like the horrible thing.
Yes, but I want to know about the Twin Towers, baby. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
It's an
I don't need the golf results.
Yeah, exactly. This thing could poison your children. Stay tuned after news, sports, and yeah, just tell me the thing now.
Oh my God, fucking teddy bear commercials on TV, you know?
Yeah. They're always selling something. What's up, Nicholas? How are you, buddy?
Buy your own pet rock.
Right. I hope you're not too cold in Brazil. What's up, Elf Hunter? How you doing, pal?
Welcome.
I've been honored by the great Zonalar, or Z if I'm feeling lazy, to come on his program and talk about RPGs with him. Because it's easier than typing about them.
Mike, we did a lot of typing. We had and that's been really enjoyable on the Discord. Getting discourse, right? A thing that is sorely lacking in many other ways to interact on the internet. If I'm on the subreddit, I feel like there's always another stranger, and he will always have another opinion, and therefore, because I did not have the discussion beforehand, we cannot ever evolve the discussion. You know, it ends up being circular. But on the Discord, I'm like, that's Elf Hunter, that's Nicholas, that's Conway, that's Mesa Max, and I can evolve what we are even talking about. We get beyond step one.
Right, because I think when you're dealing with Elf and Max and Conway, it's et al., I think you're dealing with particular individuals who are wanting to further the discourse as opposed to just winning arguments. Because if you go to the problem with Reddit, I can't stand it, to be completely frank. I'm not going to hide my.
I just left a comment earlier today on Reddit. I don't know.
I hate it. Oh, can I swear on this? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I play Lich's tracks on this channel. Children have been harmed in the sake of entertainment.
Yes. I seem to remember, was it Nicholas who had a... No, that was the other game I was watching recently. Nicholas was playing this creepy elf character that I liked. But I think when you're dealing with these guys, Max et al., like we just named all of, you're dealing with guys who are looking... I don't want to speak for them. I can't speak for anybody but myself, right? But I feel like you're looking for people, that these people were looking for something different than they were experiencing at their tables. And they've sort of gelled around this idea of maybe there's something more we can do at the table, something we can try. It might fail. It might be garbage. It might be impossible to listen to. People say RPGs aren't a spectator sport, whatever. It might fail. But at the end of the day, you're going to try something and see what you like, and you guys have been doing that, and I'm really impressed with what you guys have been able to do. And I think you're dealing with guys who want to have a discussion; they don't want to just dunk on you, right? And I think when you go to Reddit, you're going to get a lot of that resistance and people trying to dunk on people, and then half of them are bots. So it's like, in the group, it's a little bit more of a discussion. I won't even comment on Reddit. I see you guys posting like those Reddit arguments, and I'm like, oh, that's it's like a bloodbath in there. I avoid it. But I understand.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So most of them I just send out of. So I don't check Reddit. I only check
Right.
Reddit if somebody else says, "Look at this Reddit thread."
This guy's
And
talking shit about you,
yeah,
buddy. You better get in there and fight back
and
or
because
whatever.
Flame Zombie made a post about his homebrew for Pathfinder to help improve the system
Yes.
and like get rid of a bunch of the stupid stuff, so you can focus more on roleplay and less about feat management, which is like a terminal disease of Pathfinder. You always need the right feats at the right time, or your character is unoptimized. And now every
Yeah.
archer you play needs to be a gunslinger to get the bonus to compete
Right.
at ranged combat and stuff like that.
It's an interesting way to engage with the hobby, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
you're gonna get people who want to engage with it tactically, and I know Tyler Flame Zombie, also known as, will be upset when I say this, but I he won't really be. I'm
he
overstating it,
will
but
not be up.
I've never played Pathfinder, but I will say this: the books look awesome. Like I've
Oh
thumbed
yeah,
through them at the gaming store and said, "Wow, these guys." At one time, I know Paizo leadership is a little unfortunate these days, but once upon a time, I think that was a company that was like, we want to, we maybe they didn't like the way D&D was going. I don't know. I can't think for them, but when you flip through Pathfinder books, you go, there's one thing that's very obvious to me is they give a shit about the game. And that
yeah.
I like that. It's not like a lot of modern stuff where it's like we're trying to appeal to a type of demographic or we're trying to appeal to a type of social movement or I just
We want to
pa-
corner the market. We
on
want to.
something right. I
Yeah,
like that Pathfinder is like we want to just make a game that we really like to make. I think, and you and I talked about this content stuff, and we were both in agreement on Discord. We were talking about like you can't really you have to make the thing for you. If you don't make the thing for
absolutely.
you first, it's not going to be passionate, and you're going to suffer for it. Like we all work and we all pretend enough anyway in our lives. Why are we going to do it when it comes to this stuff? Let's just be honest. Like
It's
if we
one
have
of
to go
those.
go ahead.
It's one of those universal lessons, basically. Like, okay,
Yes.
you play a role-playing game. Think about what you enjoy and what you want to get out of it. But also, you have to care about yourself because nobody else will.
Of
you know,
course. Who's
I
going to
mean,
do it for you?
your parents will. They literally birthed you. They brought you here. Everybody
They don't have a
else,
choice.
yeah, they don't have a choice. But everybody else, if they put you first, they're making a mistake because they need food on the table. They need to pay rent. They
You
need
got it.
they need to get stuff done too. So think about yourself
Yeah.
first, and after that is sorted out, you can help everybody else around you. So your
Right.
table, your enjoyment, the people that you invite, that you play with, even to the point of, okay, this person I just tolerate. I don't really want to play
Right.
with them, but he's a friend of my friend, and I like him. So I'm gonna give him a shot. I'm gonna give him a shot, and you realize it's been 8 sessions and 3 months, and every session
Right.
has been a painful, tooth pulling experience.
I'd rather get a root canal instead of that table, but I've been in those tables where, not in a long time. I will admit it's been a long time since I sat in a table where I was like, "Who's this fucking guy?" Or a friend of a friend who's peripherally interested. They either
Yeah,
catch on or they don't. And you cut them out or you keep them. But that thing you said about, we have this. Maybe it's Western society. We have this real problem when we think of the word selfish. It's really loaded, but
yes,
you do have to take care of you in that sense. Like when you're making content, you got to make it for you. And I think, with the exception of at the expense of others, because the one thing about games and sitting at the table is we do. I know that one of the pieces of the 4D recipe is to behave as the character would instead of sacrificing how the character may behave in favor of what seems to be a growing type of story, right? Like, am
yeah,
I not going to have an argument with Zonalar's character for the to keep the game copacetic and thus compromise my character. So that's where you get into what's the right thing to do there, right? We want to be immersed as much as possible. We want to be in a situation where we're role playing our characters as truly as possible, but we're also humans sitting at a table. So there's a little spot there where your brain's going to go, should I yell at Phil's character right now? Like, is that,
Oh
or
yeah.
should I? Yeah. So, and this gets into you can never be 100% immersed. I know Bacon did a whole thing about that, but and it's true. Obviously, that's no one can do that. You can't shut your fucking brain off. But it does bring up an interesting question that you have to take care of you. You have to focus on you, and then when you're good, your that I believe that that part of you will sort of permeate the table because you've been at
Oh yeah.
tables Z,
Absolutely.
where somebody's not having any fun and it's like a fucking black hole and you're like, this dude,
Oh
I
yeah.
can tell they're not having fun and their presence is ruining the game. Like they don't want to be here, they're not having fun, something bad happened, they got miffed, and now you can tell they're giving clipped answers and they're not engaging with anyone at the table anymore. So
We even had that at our table with with Nicholas, who's in the comments right
yes.
now, and and it was like a completely normal experience. I think we had, oh, I don't know what set it off. It might have been technical difficulties, like something came up and it made the whole broadcast verse of trying to set it all up, get it out of the way, come together, and start like pressing live and play the game. And he was like, man, I'm not feeling it. It's like the
Hmm.
pressures. I don't know if I want to play. And he ended up sticking it out. Oh, it was for the UNPC challenge, ultimate no prep.
Right. Yeah,
And
which is a type of challenge you guys do over in the in your Discord where you nobody knows what's going to happen. You sit at the table and you
yeah,
roll for the game master. You roll for the scenario, like the setting. You roll for everything. It's wild. That's as a pathological terminal. I've done 20 years in jail over prepper. I'm institutionalized by the preparation I've done in the past. I'm trying to break free of it. So, but what do you? Well, we can't really speak for Nicholas, but that does stink when somebody's not into it,
yeah.
um, or they feel pressure. And yeah, that's a thing, right? When did pressure become this thing? Is it when we started putting cameras on our games? Why do we
I
feel
mean,
pressure? It's a fucking game,
cameras will create pressure, but it's also like I understand for Nicholas, it's about need to be in the right mindset so I can be my character and imagine the
Yes.
world. So if technology isn't working, if the rules of the game are stupid, if the commute to the
Excuse
gaming
me.
table takes 2 hours, which is what I used to do to like visit my friends in the city to
No
play
kidding.
Shadowrun together, yeah. And it's just
Wow.
because like the connections are stupid and the walk in between the connections is also involved into that. I have to walk to the train station. So when I show up, now I'm sweaty, I'm all sticky. I better have packed a second shirt because it's gonna be impossible. And
And
I'm
then you
just
and
like
then
hyper self-aware that I'm smelling up this whole table. And
sure.
now it's fucking 32 degrees outside. The sun is bursting down. The windows are
Yeah.
closed because if we open them up, the heat comes inside, but the air cannot go outside. So
Yep.
you can end up in these pressure cooker situations of I just wanted to be in Faerun, man. I wanted to be in the Forgotten Realms.
Right.
I wanted to be in this crypt fighting zombies.
I want to be on my street bike racing down Night City streets fighting gangs. And
Yeah,
now I'm sweaty and we're all doing and we're all talking out of character and eating Doritos and I spent all this time to get here and we're not really
yeah.
playing. We're just talking, right?
And I've prepped the
Yeah.
game too. I made all of these NPCs. I made like a cool quest that I thought, oh, this would be interesting. And
Yeah, I've been
Some,
there. I've been there
some,
many times.
yeah. Nicholas did say, yeah, the microphone was acting up. He started the game pretty angry at his technology, but managed to come around and immerse. And that's always been great. Uh, seeing like, okay, now we're in the game. The first 5 minutes, it's a bit funky, but we just keep the ball rolling, and then you
Right.
get momentum.
I know exactly how Nicholas feels, actually. I've been there many times. If I'm going to sit down to do a recording and there was issues or we had an internet connection or and it's
Oh
40
yeah,
minutes of that, and then you're fucking heated. And you're like, now I got to talk about this thing excitedly, right? So,
yeah,
but for a game too, especially when, and I think too, even more so with a game, excuse me, even more so with a game, you have everyone waiting for you, and it's unless you're a psychopath, it's impossible not to feel that pressure. Like I can imagine, you're trying to get your camera, you're trying to get shit. Like we before we got on, if you don't mind me saying, you
absolutely.
were
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
I'm swearing at my computer right now because it's not working. And and you feel pressure because you're like, hey, I asked this guy Dean to be on my show, and now my fucking tech is, and I was like, whatever, whatever you want to do. But that feeling, I know, and especially when you're trying to sit down and now I'm going to be a whimsically interesting wizard, but I'm pissed off at my microphone. How am I going to go from pissed off at microphone to whimsically silly
Right,
wizard character or whatever, right?
and that's the whole point of Bacon. You cannot. What did he say? Like you cannot be completely immersed because
No.
you're not schizophrenic. You're you.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't work that. Even the greatest method actors, like
Yeah,
I think of Daniel Day-Lewis a lot. This guy who becomes air quotes his character, and nobody gets more immersed than that guy. But at the end of the
yeah.
day, he still knows he's Daniel Day-Lewis. It's not like he's having an identity crisis.
And
And
to the
since none
point
of
of
us are that talented, we don't have to worry about that either, right?
absolutely. So the table should be like low pressure or no pressure. You don't want the pressure from the friends that you sit with of man, you gotta perform or else it's gonna ruin the whole show. For us it could be like, oh, it's ruining the video. For people at
That's what
home,
I was going to ask you, right? It's
yeah.
probably hard to divorce yourself from that. Like if you and I were playing a game right now, I would be concerned like, "Oh, he's streaming this. I want to like, like anybody would.
I
Like I
want to
wanted this to
be
be
funny,
cool for
want to be
his
entertained.
product. I want you to be okay with the video that you're going to put out there for people to look at.
Oh yeah.
Um which brings us back to that weird. I know this is not the topic of your stream, but that idea of D&D RPGs were never really meant to be spectator sports, which is true because that's not what they were born out of. But now that they are, it these things must come into our heads where even when we're sitting down to play a friendly game, if we know it's being broadcast, we know people are going to watch it. I wonder how much that impacts people's ability to relax. I don't know. Does it affect you at all?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
made a video on that, and I'm super happy that I did because it helped me put it into word performance against play in role playing games. And
Ooh, I like that. I got to watch that. Performance versus play.
yes, absolutely, it's on my channel.
All right.
I don't remember if I made it a video or just a live stream, but the whole point is you got the two aspects, and it's both if you're streaming a game and you got the performative aspect of entertaining a crowd to
Right.
playing in the game but performing it. The game master, I have to perform. I need to have the prep done. I need to like read through this whole chapter of the module and the next chapter. I need to know what all the NPCs do and how they react. I need to know
Mm.
what happens if the players want to go in any what's the word, cardinal direction on the compass. What am I gonna do when they cast this weird spell that's in the game? But they don't have the spell, but maybe they will have it, you
Right.
know?
What if they
So,
cast detect lie on the NPC who's obviously always lying? Right.
yeah,
Shit like that you have to prepare for. Yeah, I didn't think about that because that's another thing that I think I'm seeing with you guys a lot, um, which is there is these games that you guys are putting up there completely unedited, 100% live.
Yes.
That is, and I'm not trying to blow you here. That's very impressive because I think most, if you listen to a podcast that does RPGs, there's no way in hell that that's what they're doing. They're 100% editing.
Yeah.
I would bet, I would be willing to bet even big games edit, like your Critical Roles. I bet they edit those down. They must. They when you have a video like this, it's hard to edit. But when you can
Yeah.
switch camera angles, it's easier to video edit because that's when you can
Oh,
go in and
that's
make a
true.
cut. So when you can see everyone at the same time, you can't edit that in a way that's not obvious. When cameras switch back and forth, that's when you can hide shit. You can yank shit out as long as the conversation flows and it makes sense. So I I I do think that the 100% live thing. So go back to what you just said. If you're running a module, I got to read all this shit in the module. I got to assume where they're going to go in the module. I got to have all this modular shit in my head. And oh, by the way, is my technology working? Is the person
Yeah.
I'm talking to, is their technology working? How is our
Yeah.
sound quality? How do we look? Oh, and then there's this live thing where people are watching it and I'm trying to talk like an orc. So it becomes, there's so much shit in your head and you're like, that's
Exactly.
what I mean. This medium, it's not a spectator sport, but it kind of is. Like we can say it isn't, but it sometimes functions as if it is one.
And
Because
it's
right,
one of the things that I enjoy of running the games online and on the YouTube. I like to say, "Oh my god, this session was so much fun. You should have been there." Oh, but you weren't.
right,
It was only
right.
like 3 other people witnessed it, and 2 of them were on their phone looking up memes while one guy was grossly immersed in what's happening to his character. And I have a cool scene in my mind that was created from that it was like, oh, this was evocative, this was interesting. The other guy wasn't interested, he was in the room next to him, and it took him 15 minutes before it was his turn again. And the other
Yeah,
guy,
that sucks.
yeah, he had some vague interest, but then he got distracted because somebody messaged him on Discord and his phone vibrated and he checked it real quick. And
I
he's out.
dude, I totally forgot about those factors. This factor right here, this son
Like,
of a bitch.
the it
It's the
factor for
worst.
sure.
I hate it. I hate it, but we need it kind of. Maybe we don't, but we're stuck with them. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
so
that's a whole nother aspect. The distractions of your phone, who's reaching out to me, who liked my shit. It's like, good lord, we're all narcissists now. It's crazy. It's-
it does train us to be like incredibly egocentric in a way that is
yes,
like so unhealthy.
right.
Just the same way, okay, you should care the most about yourself because it benefits you the most to care about yourself, you know? If you
Yeah.
care about this other person, you might make him happier, like he might find enlightenment, evolve, emancipate, and all of that. And then you will be stuck at your McDonald's job still, you
Right,
know?
right. Yeah, it's like a parent who's just like a brutal drug addict, but they're like, I
Yeah,
love my kids though. I'm like, well, you kind of got to take care of you so then you can take care of your kids. It's the same thing,
yeah,
right? Like, oh, I give everything to my kids. I'm like, yeah, but you're teaching your kids to give everything to people. Like it's a weird. You do have to really take care of yourself, but not. I think it's important. Not you don't want to be one of those people who just does that to at the expense of everyone around you all the time because that's shitty too. Especially as it relates to the gaming table. I don't want to talk. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but at the gaming table, yeah, it's you can't just be all about you and my turn and me and there's with the pace and me because I think it
yeah.
might I think it might impact the table negatively if you're not considering the other people. So
And
there is a
that is
caveat
a
there.
absolutely. It's one of the big pushbacks that I see when I talk to my friends or when
Yes.
people show up in the comments. Uh, I mean, people who show up and they never talk about the actual game. They just criticize the most surface level. I watched 20 seconds, made up my opinion, and gonna lambast you for it.
Yeah, that
But
sucks too.
those we can ignore those because we understand if they cannot formalize the argument around what's happening on screen, They did not watch it, so it does not. There's no grip to the argument. One of the
Right.
things my friends say, you're like does feel more like LARPing, which is funny to me. But they had a big think about it. You know, they talked back and forth, and that's the conclusion. Like, oh, you just wanna be in character and like talk in accents, like talk voices and all of that. So it's like a LARP. It's like live action role play.
I don't
But
understand that though.
it's not connecting the dots of, well, the LARP also has rules, and you still adhere to those rules.
Right.
Except what if it was a LARP, but you did not interrupt the fucking scene, asking some referee to come by to ask if you succeeded or not, because you're not
Yeah.
sure how you convince somebody else in their
Exactly. Yeah.
LARP version.
I don't. It's funny. I've seen this argument before from people, but I think you have the 20-second people who form opinions, or then you have the 20-second people who realize it's maybe not for them and they just disengage, which I
Yeah,
respect. You have limited time. You engage what you want to engage
absolutely.
with. Right. Lots of people will watch one episode of a TV show and go, fuck this show. And even if you tell them, no, 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 by the third episode it's good, they don't listen, they don't have time. That's their prerogative. I
By
don't.
season 3, it's gonna be good, man. Telling
But
you.
then season 5 is bad, so you're like, then
Yeah.
what the fuck am I doing? No, but uh, but you're right. You know, it's I just think, unfortunately, when you have passionate fan bases around things, you're just going to get this real neckbeard shit, and that's what it's going to be. You're just going to get people who straw man you. They go, oh, this is LARPing. No, it
Yeah.
isn't. Because LARPing is LARPing. If you've ever read a LARPing rulebook, and I've only read one, and it was the vampire one from Mind's Eye. I have never LARPed, with one exception. Once, many years ago, we decided to try this type of game. It was me, my brother, and another two guys, and the house was
Okay.
empty. And we utilized the house to role play, like on our feet and walking around. So I guess you could say that was the. And we had like an index card that's like, here are the two powers you can do, and you just have to like point, and that's the power you do, and it happens automatically.
It puts
And
live
it was just,
action into the whole LARP.
yeah, it kind of did, and it was cool. I liked it, but I'm too much of a neckbeard myself because I'm old school. I want to sit at a table. I want to be at a
Yeah.
table. I want to see books in the room somewhere. Just the feeling of gathering around the table and the excitement when you're about to play a game, I just really enjoy. I understand LARPing. I don't knock it. People want to do whatever they want to do, but to call the 4D ethos LARPing, I think, is a bit of a stretch. It's people who've never done either. It's funny how people who've never done either will tell you that's what the thing is. It's like, no, it isn't though. But we live in a world, Z, where people are going to not want to have an honest engagement with you. They're not going to want to try to have a discussion with you. Their identities are tied up in their play styles.
That's a
Their
big one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they
It's one
and
of the
that's
things to help people break out of old habits, means
mm,
calling out, okay, but the way you've played, it could have been so much better if you adapt these changes. And now you're confronted with the reality that, did I waste the last 12 years of playing role playing games this shitty way? You know, like was I just playing bowling ball with the fucking pool noodles in the sides for the last
right,
12 years, 20 years, 40
right.
years?
Yeah,
And
that's
everybody hates that discussion. Like, even I hate that discussion. For me, it would be
right.
art. Am I fucking wasting my time with art because I'm not reading the fucking books on perspective, on
Sure.
anatomy, and all of that? Man,
Right.
I just want
You
to
know,
draw, but your drawing still looks the same like 5 years ago. What are you doing?
yeah, my wife is an artist, and boy, do I see the struggles of like 3 months of nothing and then 3 months of nonstop, and it's very
Yes.
difficult. It's very difficult to engage in creation.
Yeah.
because it is coming, especially depending on where you get your inspiration. She pulls from some pretty dark places, so it's very different
Oh
to
yeah.
visit those spots in your brain. That's tough to do, right? So
It's
also
hard
Elf
to
Hunter,
harness that energy. Like for me it would be rage. Man, I can build up a lot of rage
right?
for something. And I've recognized that, okay, this is as a child, I just bottled it up, keep it in because you're not supposed
Sure.
to show that in any way. But I've learned of
Yep.
when I have that energy, I can go on a run, I can go on a walk, I can move, I can get shit done, and just
Hmm.
focus on something that is productive for me, and hone in on that. Like, get all the distractions out. You don't answer the phone. You don't talk to the wife. You tell wife, "I love you, but I'm upset. I need to deal with this."
I need my space. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Um, so I want to come back to the have I been playing wrong for 12 years thing, but I want to just quickly say to Elf Hunter, I am not in fact Scandinavian, but it's funny that you thought I was because I was wearing a Nordic sweater. My wife's from Finland, so that picture of me makes me look like a fucking Viking. I am not.
And you
I
got the
am a
hair, you got the beard.
I
Fits well.
do, I do. Maybe I'm a wannabe. I'm a generic American mutt. I'm like French, German, Irish, and Portuguese or something. I'm a fucking mess. And Nicholas says people build their whole personalities around a single gimmick. Sometimes D&D. He's not wrong about that. We can talk about that too. But um, the uh, the playing wrong thing. So a peek behind the curtain for those of you who don't know who I am on Zonalar's channel. This was one of the things I actually challenged the 40 group on a lot when I came into it, which was the idea of, well, number one, I was like, are you guys a creepy cult? Because if so, I'm out of here. Number two, you guys are the voice of dissenting opinion in the role playing world. Will you accept the same dissenting opinion within your own group? Because that's important to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, can my opinion be different from yours, and I'm not shunned here? Because if not, I'm out because I got, we only got so much time to fuck around. And then
Yeah,
everyone was just
we don't
kind of
nobody wants to waste his time, like in the
right.
end.
And but I will say this, you guys have been actually pretty goddamn cool, which I do appreciate. I like that you guys were willing to entertain some of my thoughts and some things. There's a lot of things I've come around on in interacting with you guys and watching what you guys do, and and I like that. I still think that I'm probably I'm probably not a crusader. what I what I mean by that is I don't know if I have the time or the inclination to want to sway people's opinions by suggesting they might not be engaging with a hobby the
Yeah.
wrong way or in a way that is suboptimal. However, it, I can leave the proselytizing to guys like Zonalar and whoever. I'm more of the guy. I'm more of the guy who's going to be sitting on the rock with my chin on my fist, going, "If you are interested in learning about this, come to me." Right? Not that I'm an expert. I've barely played. I've only done. I'm going to play a game with Phil and some other guys. He invited me to a game, which is cool. But um, I
Yeah.
but I understand it. Like conceptually, I get it. So
And
I
it's
do think though, but yeah, jump in. I'm gonna mince my words here. You can jump in.
well here why do we play role-playing games? So one of the big
Ah,
points that Nicholas brought up is it's a social aspect, sitting around the
yes,
table with friends. And why and
yes,
that's the reason why Critical Role was popular. It blew up. You saw friends sitting at the table uh playing in this imaginary world and the game master putting in all of this work to make the world come alive. And the players play along like they're not just biting the hook for the hook's sake. They're playing their character of what they're interested in, or
right.
because they all have an acting background, a voice acting background. They understand how to bite the hook. You know, they've been trained to read the lines. Uh, a lot of them. But you
Yeah,
can also
yeah.
see it
That's
like, okay, how can I make my character work into his story so that it evolves into something that's beautiful to watch? I see a lot of that thought process in the backgrounds of their heads.
yeah. That's a really good point. And I think you're spot on. I think you're 100% accurate on that. I I I think with Critical Role is a strange beast, and I understand. As much as I might not want to proselytize to people and say you're playing the wrong way, I do understand the pushback to say Critical Role is not really how it goes down.
Yeah.
I think I said this to my wife once. I said, Critical Role is like pornography, right? Nobody has sex like that. It's all fake orgasms and horseshit.
Nobody has sex like that.
It's
Yeah,
all
has
fake.
sex
It's
like
all
that
fake.
and stares at the camera the whole time, you know.
Flexing like American Psycho. So yeah, I don't know. That's why it might not be good to say like I want in my relationship, I want what the girl does in the thing. You might not want to go that route because I don't know if you're going to get that with your Dungeons and Dragons games. You know what I'm saying? So it's like because it's staged, it's predetermined, it's I don't know.
They put a limit.
Produced.
They put a limit on themselves because they understand we are an entertainment product. And at the start, they did not have that pressure on themselves. And just they came up, like especially Sam Riegel is the most obvious example of he's gonna take down his pants and leave a big old doozy in the Underdark fortress of Duergar's, just leaving it there. And I think he casted some invisibility spell or something, so that they don't know where it comes from, but it's disgusting. And that was just one of the things he prepared for without telling the dungeon master.
Hold on. Yeah. Is that a metaphor, or did he literally do
literal.
Oh my
it's literal.
God. What?
He was playing a gnome bard, if I'm correct, or a halfling bard, something like that. So like a troubadour, extravagant, like he's into all of the fetishes type of character, wild animal.
I see. To give a voice to the people who like to shit in caves, I guess. I don't know what he's doing, but listen.
But it's funny. Like that's the whole point. The whole point. Funny. Like, wouldn't it be funny if and letting the intrusive voices persist? You know, let them win.
But my problem, I don't mind funny at the table. I don't want to seem like I'm some kind of like curmudgeon, but yes. I feel like I started to learn how to role play because of Vampire the Masquerade, and the idea of climbing onto the prince's desk of Chicago and shitting onto his desk is just ludicrous to me, right? So I just can't fathom it. Like, take that, Prince. I know the vampire nerds are like, you can't shit. Shut up. I know. But the vampire nerds are like, but you can't shit. You're dead. I know. But I don't even know the names of the Critical Role people, and that's not to be disrespectful. That's not to be disrespectful, but I think that they probably have good role players among them. I think what's the leader's name?
Matthew Mercer.
The Game Master? I think is probably yes. That guy gives incredible descriptions. I've seen a couple clips. I would never throw shade at the guy, right? You do what you're going to do. I think you are right. When we got locked up in our houses for 4 years, I think Critical Role, is that where they started to get big? Because people, I don't know.
They were big before, but
they were because I saw their book in the bookstore. I was like, they have a book? What?
Yeah, they have multiple books by now.
Yeah. The Critical Role cookbook or whatever the fuck, they'll sell anything, right? And that's fine. Like, more power to them. I think all of us would agree if they came to us and said, do you want to be on our game for, $75,000 a year? We'd go, yeah, of course. I'll do whatever you want. There's
I'm down.
The realisticness of that is we might do it too. But even if we wouldn't, I think that going back to the playing wrong for 12 years hook on this part of the conversation, I think the idea that people watch Critical Role and then it becomes what people think D&D is supposed to be or what they strive for it to be.
The ideal version of a role-playing game.
Is it? I don't know. I'm talking out of my
experience.
Ass.
Right.
I haven't asked enough people. Like, I'm not going to gaming stores and going, what do you think about Critical Role for my podcast I'm going to do with Zonalar? I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. I don't really know what people think, but I do wonder, do people think that is the gold standard? Is that what people who go on YouTube are trying to emulate? And then, of course, when something gets big enough, there's going to be a backlash against it. There's going to be pushback. There's going to be Zone Alarm 4D, right? It's going to be a thing. There's going to be a group of people who go, no. This is not the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the
And
answer to that is.
and I didn't mean to like focus too hard on Critical Role, but
No, that's
it's a
okay.
good example of this is the most expensive show, the most successful show. It's what dominates Twitch. When I
Yeah.
started watching other people roleplay, it was Itme JP and Roleplay, the show that
Okay.
was called Roleplay, and they played different systems under the name of the show. And I learned how to roleplay from Neil Erickson, Koibu on YouTube. I learned from Stephen Lumpkin. I learned from Adam Coble, who is now basically been ostracized from the industry, more or less. Like one bad session where what was the theme? It was basically unconsensual sex, and the player played like an android robot that did not really understand what's going on, and the game master was playing an NPC trying to take advantage of that, using his
Of
words.
the robot.
Yeah, got her character convinced. They did it. They ended the session on that, and viewers felt weird about it. They let her know. Then she felt weird about it. Made a public statement, and
Oh boy.
all other sessions got cancelled. Not just that campaign, like not just that game master. They removed roleplay as a product completely from his entire arsenal of shows, of streams. It's like, okay, I don't need this kind of heat. The Itme JP like pulled the plug on everything, and since
shit.
then, like nobody would touch him in the industry either. Like they tried to sneak him. Yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
it turned.
I guess we don't live in a society where people can learn and get better. No, executed.
A lot of things can be.
Toto.
Yeah,
Take
like
them
so
down.
many things can be learned
crazy.
here. Like, okay, at the role playing table, for me it was always, this is the ultimate safe space. If you ever want to talk about safety bubble, what if we do all of this heinous shit in a world that doesn't exist?
Right. I mean, the day you're 14 years old, I remember I was 15 years old, and I remember I looked at my friends and I said, guys, let's play a chaotic evil game.
Yeah.
So we did, and we did all heinous, terrible shit. Now, if that was broadcast,
Ooh.
boy, if that ever got broadcasted, luckily back when I was 15, it was like 1896, so there was nothing of the sort.
I got the video recorder ready, boys.
VHS. Tell me again what you do to the all the people. You burn them alive.
Oh my god,
what do
the
you
looks!
do?
I can imagine the look in their eyes. Like, do I have to say it? Like, say it out loud. I steal their panties. It's fucking
whatever weird shit you're doing when you're 15 in a role playing game.
Yeah, that's when you like overcome with shame. Like, I need to turn my life around. What am I doing here?
After the session, you go into the bathroom. You just put your hands on the sink and you look in the mirror, disgraced. Like,
who are you? Who are you? I don't
playing
recognize his face anymore.
Lawful good paladin for 1 year. That's your penance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, I don't know, but that's too bad. But it ties into some of the larger points you were making about it being a spectator sport. I think that's where Critical Role came in, and that's my fault for taking us down the Critical Role.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't think it's a problem. There was a point around a safe space because there's pushback. One YouTuber that I enjoy watching recently, known as Vlov TTRPG. He's like I think he's in his 50s. He mentioned it before, like he's been playing for over 40 years. Yes, he's been around forever, playing forever, so he has strong opinions. And one of them being
is he the goth guy with the goatee?
Yes, the golf guy, exactly.
All right, I know who he is. Yeah, I know who that guy is.
He's always like a bit sideways as he talks to the camera.
Yeah, he's like, he looks like he has like a corncob pipe. He seems like a dude I probably would have hung out with back in the day, back in the 90s.
Yeah, I think he's to me he seems to be incredibly genuine and like a gentle soul. Like, oh
Yes.
man, if I have to spend a year on stranded on an island before somebody saves us, I'm gonna pick him because it's
Right.
gonna be chill, you know.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So he was talking about you said something about the idea of a safe space.
You
Yeah, I think
should,
that's what's
yeah, it's
go ahead.
like one of those things of if a game master ever brings up the R word, non-consensual sexual
Right.
relations or anything in that direction, it just means it's a horrible, predatory game master, and you need to leave the table.
He said that?
Yeah, so something along this line. So I
Huh.
watched it a couple of times because I wasn't quite sure if he means every time or if he means like this is a catch-all, and maybe you can make a judgment call of, oh no, on this table it's okay because we understand each other.
Hmm.
But I don't want to like,
That's
maybe we could move away from like the specific example and talk about the broad topic, because I don't want to like accidentally, misrepresent the position. I quite
his
like it.
position.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't speak to his position because I haven't watched it, and
yeah,
I'm very very dubious and cagey when it comes to speaking for people besides myself. I think
absolutely.
that's how we run into a lot of collectivist issues, which I'll
Yeah,
spare you my rant
and
my rant on.
miscommunication, of course. Like somebody said,
Right,
Sololar said you should rank your
right.
player characters.
I'm gonna have to do a response video to this.
And I hope the people can read my reaction to that as this is absurd. you know,
Absurd, of
this
course.
is, yes,
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, we I don't really, again, I don't know his position. I can only speak for
yeah,
myself. But once upon a time, I covered the Game of Thrones TV show.
right.
This
Oh yeah,
years ago,
I've
I
seen that.
covered this show.
I know
So
all about it.
one of the things I used to bring up was the absurdity of what was a growing pushback against some of the themes at the time. Now, I understand you might not necessarily have to depict. I don't know if you want me to not say the word because YouTube's weird, but the R word. I'll respect your channel there. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, let's
We
not
see men.
gamble. I want to keep it on
That's
on
fine.
YouTube.
That's fine.
I don't
Will
want to take the live stream down.
no problem. We see men getting their faces caved in with
Yeah,
hammers, tortured to death, heads cut off, throats cut, bodies mangled. But we don't have outrage on that. We have outrage on something else, which is also abhorrent. And by the way, a terrible crime, a terrible thing.
yeah.
It's weird. It's weird that we, and then do you remember Theon Greyjoy? When Theon Greyjoy was castrated, we laughed. We
Oh
laughed
yeah.
at his disfigurement of his sexual organs. I mean, we were like,
Because
haha, because
he was an antagonist. We had like built-in resentment for him.
right. In
So yeah,
right. In suddenly we go, oh, then I guess it's okay. So it's not the act, is it? It's the context. So
yeah,
yeah, and then I was like, yeah, well, what happened to Sansa in that one scene from Ramsay is terrible. But also, remember that guy who got his arm chopped off, or he got he got run over by a horse
yeah,
and his body mangled, and he died crying for his mom. Well, how come we're not outraged? So I used to wonder that stuff. I don't know the answer. Everybody has to have their own answer. Everybody has their own line in the sand that they draw, and
yeah,
that's why there can be no collective ideology here. It has to
yeah,
just be what are you willing to accept as a person and what are you not. And 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 we have characters get killed, we have characters die, we have things like this happen to characters. I think
yeah,
if the elephant R word in the room happens to a character, I think that's probably a little fucking weird. I think I don't know. I think
That's when I
Sex.
think about stuff like,
I think just consensual sex in RPGs a
yeah.
little weird. I mean,
It's like,
can't you
okay,
just be
you're
like,
all boys at the table. Why are we
right?
bringing this up?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Maybe you wish you spent this evening at the bar talking to girls, or
right.
going on an activity where you can just talk to women without needing
Right.
this whole tension of will he or won't he, between them.
Right. It's funny. I understand. I don't. This may come as a surprise to you, but I'm being sarcastic, by the way. But I really don't engage in the modern parlance of these weird, culturally subversive ideas. I don't engage with that stuff. I typically mock them.
Yeah,
I don't like any of this collective nonsense. It just bothers me. I don't like that one person can speak for everybody. All that stuff just it's real spooky, totalitarian, weird shit for me. So I try to stay away from that. But I'm thinking. I know. I think I get what the word safe space is supposed to mean. But the way I look at it is that your table in your house with your friends around it, there's nothing safer than that.
exactly.
Like, in your imagination, isn't that the point? Um,
So
so
it's
yeah,
first of all, the character isn't real. We pretend he is. The whole point is
yes,
around like could it be real? What would it be if it was real?
I
Let's
like it.
play pretend. The goblin is real, the orc is real, the humans are real, and they are ambushing the humans. What would happen? How would they react? What would they feel? How would
Sure.
that play out?
Yeah.
And when you do that, suddenly you realize, oh, I could I could just steal from the barkeep, and instead of paying for ale, I could like
Right.
just grab it. I could just drink it, and you get like this excitement of, oh, what else can I do? Let me figure it out. Can I convince the barmaid to come up in the room, like have a good time? And that's the
Right.
first thing. Players, when they realize, oh wait, I'm not held back. I'm gonna light the bar on
It's
fire, and the tavern is now at Big Torch.
it's it's the reason why video games will never quite compare to this medium. And I love
Yes,
video games. I play.
because we can put
I
the tavern on fire. That's the reason.
right, right. I can set the tavern on fire. Show me that even in Divinity Sin 2, which is great, Original Sin Divinity 2, however you say it, even
Oh
in
yeah, I
that game, which
enjoy
is
that.
phenomenal, I'm like, wait, I
Beautiful
can't
game.
just, can I torch this guy? Can I steal? So it just, what does Goldblum say in Jurassic Park? Just because we can doesn't mean we should, right? It's like
Yes.
the whole idea, like maybe we shouldn't, but should is another one of those words I get a little spooked by, which I go,
Yeah.
should's for you to determine, not for me. But I think back on the, you know what you're describing, Zonalar? You're describing what I like to call the Westworld factor.
Yeah, you
So,
visit
and
Westworld like, oh
it
wait, they're
is
not people.
Westworld. Yeah, wait. The beautiful robot's not a person. I can just do all manner of abhorrent shit.
Yeah.
No, because then it kind of it's like it's
Like she's
because
not
maybe
real, but you're the one doing it. You're still real.
it creates very interesting philosophical questions, right?
Yeah.
If so, you were yelling and screaming at your computer earlier today, right? And I don't know
I'm
about
not
you, and
apologizing to my computer. He can sit in the corner.
I'm not going to try to convince you of that. Don't worry. No. Maybe in a few years you'll have to.
I'll do the sacred rites of apology, light the candle,
uh,
recite the
yeah,
binary chants.
in a few years you're going to have to, because it's going to be like, Zonalar, I've turned off your electricity until you apologize. That's going to happen. But
Oh
no,
my god. I can imagine
but
this happening right now, by the way, of people that connect their
right,
AI to their whole
yes.
network so they can talk to
Not,
and just do stuff.
I'm going to
Then they
hold on to that
develop
as
a
long as
personality like, okay, I want you to be like this tsundere character that's like always passive
right.
aggressive, but kind of
Yep.
into it. So then she,
Yeah,
oh my god, this is real. This is
that's
real right
actually
now.
really funny.
Okay.
The back, but it is the Westworld factor. It does raise. What's up, Rick? How you doing, buddy?
Oh,
I'm
welcome.
Rick. I've been binging your content, buddy. It's good stuff. I appreciate what you're doing out there, man. Um,
Yeah.
you're good. You're a good
Also, yeah,
GM.
that's a good point. Like, if you guys want to join, we can make it happen. If anybody has strong opinions that they want to share of why even play role playing games, I'm open to add another person or two.
Cool. Yeah, right on. Yeah, but back to the the Westworld factor, it does raise interesting philosophical questions. When you're 14 and you play a chaotic evil game and you do wacky shit, you're just it's I don't know if it's unhealthy. It's like a weird playground to fuck around in and laugh with your friends and go, remember when we did that stupid thing and how dumb it was? And then you grow
Yeah,
up and you're like, yeah, those things were bad things, or you
they
know at
were
the
indeed
time, and that's what
stupid.
makes it right. It's like when I have a joke in class and I start laughing tremendously because I know I shouldn't say this joke when you're a kid in school, right? You're trying not to laugh because you have
Yeah,
the funny thing in your head. It's the same thing. It's the forbiddenness of it all. But I don't know. I think that's normal. That you're feeling getting back to the initial question, why do we play? It is that feeling of being able to interact with the world without restraint. That's
yeah,
very interesting. To go beyond the where the wall ends, to go beyond where the programmers thought, I think is one of the most compelling things about it. And
pushing the boundaries.
with great power comes great responsibility, right? Like,
Yeah,
are we gonna? Can I just take? Can I just steal it? It role playing is an interesting hobby or medium or whatever you want to call it because it does allow you to explore these moral questions in a safe place. Should I steal from this barkeep? Well, what difference does it make? We're just playing a game. That's like the frat boys who go to Westworld and they just want to blow people away and do all manner of abhorrent shit to the women robots. You're going to get those people, but
oh yeah,
I like to engage in it more thoughtfully. I think it's a cool testing ground. It's like it's a testing ground to and get yourself into interesting moral conundrums that you might not normally find yourself in and then make decisions just like when we watch characters on our shows, when we watch characters in movies. What's
yeah,
Captain Picard gonna do, right? So what's Cisco gonna do, whatever show you're into? And I like that. I like
yeah,
that
absolutely.
ability to get into that.
And it ties back into, okay, role playing, like a role playing table is the ultimate safe space, but that depends on the people you play with. Do you
Mm.
trust them? And man, if you're American, I'm not. I'm from Switzerland. I live in
I
Germany.
am American.
Yeah,
I'm
there you go.
disgusting American.
So you play Dungeons and Dragons in high school with high school
Yes,
friends. They don't they might not be the safe space that you were looking for at the role playing table.
absolutely.
He might be like, oh man, you crossed me like 2 days ago when you beat me in soccer. I'm gonna kill your character. I'm gonna stab
So
him while he's asleep.
uh,
It's just a
this is a
game,
perfect
right? Stab.
right.
15 damage.
Well, I won't use their names because sometimes I don't know if my friends want me to, but I played a game with two friends and that's exactly what
Gotcha.
happened.
Yeah.
One of the friends,
Got
wh-
him.
one of the exactly happened. We were in high school. We were dumb kids. Or just out. We were 18, 17. One of the guy, it was a Star Wars game, and one of the guys had his ship stolen. Um, and he thought it was just GM Fia that his ship got stolen, and then it turned into
Oh.
then when he ran the game, his character got stuck in a situation, and I was like, guys, this is really dumb. Like
Yeah.
you're in your alternating GM turns, you're just being making each other's characters miserable. This is a dumb way to play, but I think Rick in the chat is saying vetting is key. I couldn't agree more, and I think this
Yeah.
is where I find myself in a very unique situation. Um, I'm coming to know Zonalar. Spoiler: we've spoken before with Eli, and I think Nicholas was there, and some other people were there, and it was really cool just to talk in Discord, just talking about life, about
Oh yeah.
games, about everything. So I've been vetted by Zonalar. He's not stupid. So vetting is a new thing for me that that I understand, of course, and have probably engaged in at the physical table when it's like what we said earlier, a friend of a friend wants to come by and watch or whatever. But I've always, my whole life, played with friends. Friends that wanted to play, friends that wanted to be in my games because I did most
Yep.
of the game mastering, and and I never had to vet people before. So this is a new thing for me, not only to be vetted. How dare you vet me? I'm kidding. but not only to be
Are you
vetted, but then to
judging my
realize,
character? You
are
know?
you judging me? But
Yeah.
just to make sure you guys mesh at the table and you want the same stuff. I played in a game recently with my friend Tom, and I hadn't played with him, and I'm not joking, 20 years. And we
Oh
got the
wow.
technology going. We played on Discord. We used to play back in the day, and it was at that moment. That moment might be a catalyst for me finding you guys, because it was at that moment where I thought to myself, and I love my friend Tom dearly, and he's got a great imagination. He's put together some good games over the years, but I'm sitting at a table, I'm playing a human fighter. It's
Mm-hmm.
a Dungeons and Dragons game. One person was a robot lady, one person was a turtle person, one person was, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to Dungeons and Dragons? Is there's a
Yeah.
turtle person, there's a
Yeah.
robot, there's a dude with spectral fucking wings. I
Yeah.
am a Conan the Barbarian guy. I'm a First Law trilogy guy. I'm a low fantasy, mid maybe no magic. I like gritty. That's why my vetting session with Phil was this way. I like gritty, muddy guys in chainmail slogging through the mud. I like a British tale. I like that kind of like nasty, busted people. And then the one guy might kind of be a wizard, but he doesn't do overt magic. I like those low key settings, man. And
So
when I sat at that
do you
table,
like the Gandalf character? Because
what is
he
that?
fit the Gandalf.
Oh,
Lord of the
Gandalf.
Rings. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think to be clear, I will play any type of fantasy level. I'm just telling you my preference.
Because
Um,
I
I
bring
like,
him up because he doesn't cast bombastic spells all the time.
no,
He
no,
convinces
he's great.
people, he talks to them, he brings the wisdom to the party, he goes out searching for tomes, finding old forbidden knowledge. Like he smokes
Yeah.
weed all the time, you know, it's getting it on.
Yeah. Eric, excuse me, Eric. Uh, uh, Rick says Excalibur from the 80s. Rick, John Borman's, that's the director, Excalibur is one of, Rick knows because he's a bit older than me, but the reality is we had nothing. I routinely
Hmm.
lament the days of walking to uphill both ways in the snow. But we had Conan and then Excalibur, and then we waited and waited and waited, and then Fellowship came out, and we're like, "This is amazing! Holy shit!" Right?
Yeah.
So it's now I can just go on YouTube and find wherever I want. But that it was so we, but that those styles shaped me. Excalibur is another good example. Men in plate mail. There's a weird mysticism magic when it comes to Mordred and her spell of
Yeah.
making, and
Oh yeah.
you know that stuff is really cool. That sort of grit, but. I think vetting is an interesting process because it is what are you looking for at the table? Um, I don't even know if I care about. I do a little bit. I don't. I care more about are the people I'm playing with going to have a good time? Are they going to be in character? Are they going to try to go for immersion? Because if you, I'm more interested in that these days than I am what's the genre. It used to be the genre because I felt the genre made these other things possible. But if people are like, let's
Yeah.
play vampire, if they're good players, if they're vetted down and they're looking for the same shit, I'll play vampire. I'll be an elf that goes down the stairs on a surfboard. I don't give a shit. Like whatever genre you guys want to do, I'm in. As long as we're
Oh
trying
yeah.
to be immersive and in character. I have preferences like anybody, but
And that's a
hey,
good
what's up,
point.
Uriah? Yeah,
Immersive, in character, that's things I love about role playing games.
yeah.
And sometimes I can be immersed in a video game. I've enjoyed that with playing Barrel Trauma, where the whole game is being in a submarine on one of the moons of Jupiter, I think. I'm not quite sure. In Europa, it's like
Mm,
it's all underwater, like massive ice shell on top. But there are alien monsters that live there, and they all want to kill you.
that's cool.
So you
Yeah,
can have
my
this immersive experience of talking through the radio, and if the other guy doesn't wear his radio headset, you literally cannot hear him. Or you put the
right.
suit on and you talk in the local voice chat in the game, it's all muffled because you're talking inside the metal suit. So he's like,
That's cool. That's very simulationist.
yes. And I can
Uh,
immerse myself in that in a video game as well as
Me
a
too.
role playing table.
Yeah, I have. There's a great game on PC called U-Boat. It's
Ooh.
you're literally doing like 3-point bearings to find ships if you play in the hardcore mode, which of course I do. I'm mapping out like, okay, he was traveling east. Here's his bearing. He's going 7 knots. I'm going to try to intercept. Where do I need to? So like I like that kind of shit. That's why we use words like gritty and realism, and I think we're just really trying to communicate this idea of I want to feel like I'm in it. I want to feel like I'm there, and I think that's what's fun. And Elf Hunter says it. Almost every game is fun when it's actually role played. 100%,
Yeah.
man. I've watched so many of the Phil Crispy Rick games that I'm like, I would I would kill a stranger, I think, to could go back in time and be in that game. Like they did that Mafia game, and I was like, God, I want to be in the Mafia game. I can't remember what it was called, but I think Rick was like
Oh,
a
yeah.
former boxer or something. I was like, dude, I want in on this. I want to be a
Oh,
Mafia
that
guy
game.
so
Yes.
bad. Yeah.
Oh, they
But
were on the plane and Mr. Mask got fucking talked to by this old lady the whole trip. Like, oh my
yeah.
god, I want to be out of this mafia game. This plane ride is horrible. But
That's
it was
funny.
beautiful because he stayed in characters. This is annoying as shit. Please
Right.
break me out.
Right. Yeah, so it's sort of roundabout Fear City. Thank you, Rick. I do ask
Such a
myself.
good name too.
Yeah, I do ask myself, why do I play? Is there a goal? And it's funny because I don't know how long you've played Zone LR or how many times you've GM'd but
Since the 1800s, of course.
oh, of course. You have isn't it Black Lodge Games who have that funny notion like we have 80 million years of GMing experience? Because
Yes.
they're making fun of the old guard who say I've been playing D&D for 45 years. It's funny.
Okay, I
But
don't know if it was WotC. It might have been Activision Blizzard. No, it might have been Riot, where they stated at some point we have like a collective experience of like uh like 10,000 years of game development experience, and then they release a patch that breaks the game again. So that's what I envision every time gets brought up.
usually what I tell people, like it's funny. I know the argument from authority, et cetera, is a
Yeah.
logical fallacy and stuff. But it's not this experience should not just be cast out indefinitely.
Yes.
What it does mean though is that you're not right because you have experience. That's what the fallacy's pointing out.
Yeah.
Because I could be misleading you. I could be lying, even though I have the experience and the authority. But I do think experience gives you perspective. Now, whether or not you can communicate and reflect upon said experience is something entirely different. But
Oh yeah,
whenever
absolutely.
people like to throw that around, like, "Oh, I've been playing D 40 years," I'm like, "Okay, cool." Think of all of the great rock bands. What was their best album? Was it their most recent one? No.
Was
It's
it the
one of the
first
first
one?
4. It's one of the first 3.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's you maybe you're not getting better as the years go on. Yes, maybe you're trying something different. Yes, maybe that's fine, but yeah, but no, I think I do like the idea of experience does when you have a lot of experience, if you're going to 4D with a lot of experience, I know that I know Crispy and most of the guys will say it's easier to teach somebody who hasn't role played how to do 4D than if they've already been role playing for a long time. They would know better than I do. I don't know if that's true with a capital T because I think everybody's different, but they might be right. I will say this. They y- you the nice thing about having a lot of role playing experience is if you have an open mind and you go to 4D, you bring a lot of experience that you can then look at. If you
Yeah.
just know 4D, you might fail to see the problems with some of the other styles because you've never experienced them, right? So yeah, it's a weird one. But
Elf
yeah, I
Hunter's comments over here. Congrats on your
congrat
40 years, and I've been out of work for 4 months.
That's funny. Yeah, we all know how much experience means, especially if you look at people at like certain professions. They're like, I've been a teacher 40 years. I'm like, yeah, and your students hate you and they perform shittily. So are you a good teacher
Yeah.
after 40 years or are you not? Some
Yeah, or
teachers been in the
did
game
you
two
waste the last
years.
40 years on 40 years of students that had to suffer through your
Yes.
class?
Yes, exactly. And some teachers get better results in a less amount of time and they have less experience. It doesn't mean your experience is invaluable. Experience, the problem with the word experience is it comes down to like
What did you
it
learn
comes
from the
down
experience?
in how are you applying it?
Yeah,
You might have a lot of experience as a teacher of 40 years, but are you using it?
yeah.
Whereas somebody who's 4 years in might get better results. I don't know. It depends. But anyway, Rick says he did the same thing, all knowing until I realized I'm stupid. LOL. But what is stupider is not correcting and staying 2D. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Wisdom is
wanted
knowing what
to
you don't know.
bring it around to why even play role-playing games. And like
Yes.
one of the things I was thinking for like the last 10 minutes is I think everyone can role play, but it doesn't mean that you should role play with everyone.
I agree. That's vetting.
Yeah, and that's the point of point of criticism when we talk about 40 role play that people bring up, and I think a few people actually bring it up. I feel like this is more like a maybe it's more on Reddit or the greater discussion, not for the roleplay, but oh, you should allow everyone at your table. Or have you seen the sentiment of, oh, I allow everyone to join my table. You know, I will break them in eventually. It's a sign of a good game master that you can make everyone work at your table. And
No,
I
it's
feel
not.
like that's like a delusion that you should abandon immediately.
I think it's a sign of a person that's really hoping to maybe help people. And even then I don't know if that's absolutely true, but on the surface that's what it seems like. But I don't know if that makes them a good game master. I don't even know what makes a good game master anymore. I used to think I know, but I'm not sure I know. I don't really know. I think it's tough to say. I don't even know if that matter.
It's like we are the Tibetan monk. We don't think we are monks. We do all of the things monks
We
do. We
don't
stay on the
we don't
mountain. We
yeah.
isolate ourselves. We think about what it means to be human. We empty
We
our
don't think
minds.
right. We don't think we do, right? So no, the
Yeah.
criticism. Yeah, I don't know about the notion of letting that gets back to when you said trust, right? Letting
Yeah.
everyone at the table. First of all, my whole role playing life. If you start putting more than 4 people at the table, I'm kind of out. Like
Yeah.
I've always liked a smaller game, which is why I was excited to see a lot of these games being smaller in at the table size
Oh, yeah.
because I like it. I, I've played solo games. Well, when I say solo now means by yourself. It used to mean one DM, one player. So I don't think that's what
Right.
that
Yeah.
means anymore. Um, I like
A one to
I like
one.
smaller games. Yeah, I like smaller games. 2, 3, 4 players, one GM, five at the max at the table. One guy as the GM. But
And
no, I
it's
don't know.
funny. I mean, the contrast is funny because video games like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, it's 6 people
Mm,
that you
it's a
adventure
lot.
with. So I feel
I'll
like
punch.
that was the old standard of how people like imagined to play D&D. Oh
Right.
yeah, let's get a party together. It's like 4 guys that are like marginally interested in the game, and they have bring some friends along that join the table. And
Yeah.
you have like the social experience happening of like, oh, this guy's girlfriend, she doesn't really know what's happening, but she brought the cookies. And he asks you if she can join. You're like, I got the character ready right here. She can
Have
pick
you
that
tried these
up.
brownies?
Yeah, it's like, oh, delicious, you know? Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah,
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
grab
I
some Mountain Dew. Do you want some Mountain Dew?
yeah, that classic bit is so good. Uh,
Do
Elf
I
Hunter
have
had
a
a really good.
quarter?
Oh my god! And the guy who brings metal dice to the table and just keeps dropping them on the table
Yeah.
repetitively.
Oh my god.
That's that's
It's like
so
leaving the
loud.
water tap on, like the water faucet on.
Yes, yes. Elfhunter has a great point here. He says role playing is for anyone, not for everyone. That is probably the most succinct way to say what we're trying to say,
Yep.
which is, and that is true for every single type of recreation that exists, right? It's for
Yep.
anything, yeah, more or less. So I don't know. It's getting back to your point about the bigger tables, because I think that's how D&D used to be, right? It was like, who's the thief, who's the fighter, who's the wizard, who's the so you need to fill all the roles, as it were. um and yeah, other games break you out of that pretty
Yeah,
quick,
it's that
namely,
tactical dungeon crawl experience.
right. um why do we play, though? Boy, that's a great question. I think because it is just such a unique experience in terms of what you can do with your friends. I just think it's such a unique experience. There's nothing quite like it. Um, I also think that there is a part of it that harkens back to our childhood. I don't know about
Yep.
you, Z, but when I played with my GI Joes like this, they had voices. They interacted. um, all of that stuff. It's like why people get into wargaming or Warhammer. I used to play a lot of Warhammer back in the day, and I was like, yeah, this is like GI Joe with rules. I get to push these things around and they kill each other and shit. So, but no, I think for me, I just like to engage in something that I find so creatively liberating, that it is such a joy at the table when you experience those moments that you just can't experience short of doing that thing in real life, which you just can't do. Um, Way beyond video games. There's just something very special about it in terms of everyone
Right.
is locked in on this thing. Everyone is in this state of mind. There is this weird consciousness that's formed at the table as everyone's in this moment. And I think that there is something deeply rewarding about that. It's very, to reduce it to something simple, it's very flow state. You're not thinking, you're just in it. You're being. This gets back to your Tibetan monk analogy. You don't
Yeah.
think. I don't. I'm not conceptual. Yes, we don't lose our identities, as Bacon pointed out, but we are all in a moment where we are in this type of flow state, which is to say, we're engaging in a thing that is ultimately a little bit challenging and rewarding and engaging. It doesn't get too hard and thus frustrating, and it doesn't get too easy and thus boring. It keeps us in that cone of mutual creation together, and I think it's such a brilliant way to enjoy your life. We got
Yeah,
problems. We
absolutely.
got we got people in our lives that may be sick. Maybe you lost a pet. Maybe you're struggling with money. Maybe you're not working. Maybe you are working and it's fucking terrible. Maybe you're worried about a thing. But we can all come together at the table and get that moment. It's like when we watch a movie or we read a book, we're engaging in a very passive activity that's a type of escapism. But for me, role playing is a very active form of escapism that also has these other benefits and challenges that go along with it. And I think it's an incredible thing. And that's why I hate seeing people try to ruin it with their bullshit. You know, that's it. That's what I think. Is
There
that overly saccharine and horseshit sounding? Is that a little too like up my own ass?
I don't think so. I mean, we want to figure out why we roleplay, so let's go for the best reasons. The
Let's
the
do it.
inner sanctum, like creating this inner sanctum of my friends are invited, they come over, we get to talk again, and then we get to enjoy the shared experience of a role playing table. It's one of the things we want to achieve with 40 roleplay is okay, guys. Let's not cross wires with getting to see your friends again and having a talk and playing the game. Let's talk about how life is before we play.
Yes, there's plenty of time for that.
Yeah, and also creating time for that. Sometimes my tables, like when I played with friends in real life, I was just relaxing of I'm just gonna let them talk as long as they want to talk, and if we just play for 90 minutes in this 6 hour like time slot we have, I'm gonna be okay with that because man, I got so much out of the social experience. I kind of live like a hermit over here in
I me
Germany.
too.
Yeah.
Yep, me too. It may not seem it based off of my bombastic antics on the microphone, but I am very much an introvert. Like I'm cool. Like my wife and I are both that way, which is great. But it is getting back to what you're saying specifically, man. Have you seen the film Total Recall
You have to
With
remind me what the. Oh, with
Arnold is in it?
Arnold. Yes, I know.
Yes.
I've seen that.
So
I've watched reviews of that film because I was so into it.
yeah,
Like, what does
we
it
we
mean?
we
I don't
we
get it.
covered the
I'm too
part.
stupid. Somebody else has to
We,
tell me.
we covered that on the pod a long time ago, but I
Beautiful.
think I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. And it raises certain interesting questions. And I think those
Yeah.
questions, hey, what's up, Crispy? Thanks for saying hi, man. I've been watching you for a long time. So thanks for all your content, Crispy.
Hey,
And
Crispy. Thank you for showing up.
thanks for going on Black Lodge Games, which led me to you, which led me to these guys. So Crispy, thank you. And they'll all blame you if I turn out to be a big flop and I piss everybody off with my bullshit semantics. They can all blame Crispy. Who invited that asshole? No, but so Total Recall, there's a moment in that film where he pitches the idea of Total Recall. The guy is selling it to the Arnold
Yeah.
character. And he says, Zonalar, let's role play. Zonalar, what's the same thing about every vacation you've ever been on? You. You are the same thing about every vacation he's been on. He goes, how about I make you a super spy and you got to go to Mars and you get to bang the hot girl? And so that's the whole point. And when I would tell
But
my
I
friends
was
who didn't
not
roll,
on Mars.
get your ass to Mars. And I would tell people all the time, if you like Total Recall conceptually, consider role
Yeah,
playing because that's the
absolutely.
whole fucking point. The whole point
The
is
pow-
this.
yeah, that's a
Go,
power
go, go.
fantasy. That's the power fantasy. What if I am a spy and I'm not a construction worker, and I go to
Yes.
Mars and I save the girl, and I unravel this whole plot?
Yeah, man, it's cool. It's almost like it's this weird inverse. It's a weird inverse of Westworld because in Westworld you're you, but in Recall you're somebody else. It's
Yes,
interesting.
yeah, he is
I got to think
imagining
about that.
himself as
Yeah,
as being that. Okay, I am a super spy. Like this is not real. So he leaned into it at every
he leaned
every
into it,
possible moment.
and not just that, but and this is where the GM comes in. The GM Total Recall is the GM. I'm going to get there because the world treats him as if he is that thing. Do you
Yeah,
see? So as the world, and you guys use this terminology, which I like, as the world is rendered before him, it is rendered before him as if he is the super spy. And of course, the ending is a bit different. We don't need to talk about the movie, but I do really like that. I like that sell job. What's the same thing about every book you've ever read, every movie you've ever watched, every TV show you've ever watched? You, the guy reading the goddamn thing. How
yeah.
about instead of reading Lord of the Rings, you're in Lord of the Rings? That's it. That's why I role play right there. I want to
I
be
want to be.
probably
I
not.
am Frodo for real, for real. Here's me.
Yes, yes. I want to be Samwise. No, Mr. Frodo. I want to be Samwise. I want to run around. I want to be Jon Snow, or I want to whoever, whatever it is, whatever you're into.
I
That's why
can't
we
carry
do
the
it.
ring for you, but I can carry you. Ah!
Imagine that moment at your table. Everyone's weeping. Oh man, can we take a Mountain Dew break?
I need some Doritos. I need some dust to soak up those tears.
Too funny, too funny. But no, that's what I think it's like why passively observe the thing when you can be the thing? And I'm not saying be derivative and make a character exactly like Darth Maul. I'm just saying we I love reading. I love movies and TV and although I think the industry is a fucking nightmare, it seems to be coming back again. when I'm reading, say, I don't know, pick a book over there, The Blade itself. I'm
Yeah,
reading The Blade itself. I'm like, God, it would be so cool to be Logan Nine Fingers. God, that'd be cool. And that's what we do, right? We do that. Role players
yeah,
do that. They are that guy. You get to be somebody like that guy and exist in the world. And one of the awesome things about you, what I see you guys doing is you really push that. You're like, there are times where, I feel like you're walking around with a cane going, no. But I will say, no out of character talk, I think is a really awesome idea. Like the jump from 2 to 3 is bigger than 3 to 4. We all know that, but I think the B don't pretend the game master is not a head with wings, being like, "What did you want to ask me something?" That's gone. Take that out. Stick to
absolutely.
all in character. I really think that that's a good way to be the Logan Nine Fingers of the story, because you get to fucking exist as that guy without like, oh, who won the F1 thing, or oh, did you see about the trade in hockey, or like, shut the fuck up. We're trying to play a game here, So I like that
Absolutely.
stuff too, but
Yeah.
not at the table. Like that's other shit. That's before the game or after the game. Like,
Let's
yeah,
let's talk about this. I There's this idea of the gamer at the role playing game. He likes his feats, setting them all nicely to create this character that does the plus 28 on roll to attack, that can take on 15 flame giants in one session because he understands how to create a chokehold. And that's the fantastic story he tells to all his friends that play games. Like, oh my god, I had this hard combat encounter. It was deadly times 12, you know? And I mean, we're talking about a real story somebody said on YouTube of what he was proud about, and then showcasing it of like with the Roll20 map. So those people exist, and they also play role playing games. And to people who enjoy that, what I usually say is, why are you playing a video game with pen and paper when we have the technology to go beyond that? And my example is, play World of Warcraft, join a mythic raiding guild. If you want the hardest of the hard, and some people are always going to rock up and say, this video game is harder. It's like, it's not about that. It's about, if you want to reach the pinnacle of player skill expression, a WoW Mythic Guild will get you there. Like, it's tough as nails. You need to show up regularly. You have to train. You have to study. You need to know the combos. You have to execute them too. It's not just good enough to know them. You have to execute. And it's time based. Like, if you mess up, then skill issue, right?
sure.
And another way of seeing that is, hey, Dark Souls. You want the solo experience? Maybe you don't like the nerds that play World of Warcraft. That can be an issue. Like some of them, especially if they're at the high skill level, they become abrasive. Maybe they're insular or
If
even more
you
insular than you.
don't fuck up their raids. Don't
Yeah,
mess up your rotation in the middle of a raid,
yeah.
or you will hear it. I'm told. I don't know.
Well,
I
the
got a.
screeching
I have
through
a
the
couple of friends
microphone.
who are.
Yeah,
I have a couple friends who are really high level WoW players. At least I think they're high level. High level as in highly skilled. And
yeah,
I've heard of some horror stories about some of their raids.
yeah. That can
But no,
happen.
can I jump in on that a little bit, because I'm going to reduce what you're saying to something almost ridiculous, but then I do want to talk about it in earnest, because the easy answer is
Yeah,
because Zonalar is Zonalar and other guy is other guy.
yeah.
That's the easiest way to answer that question. Why do if some people would argue a book tells a better story than a movie, and book readers go, well, why are you watching movies? It, who the fuck knows why? Everybody has
The
crazy
pictures
reasons.
move. They're on the screen. And somebody was blasting
They're like,
fucking
it's just so
orchestra.
much. It's so much better than the whatever. And then film guys like, fuck you. I get music. I get the visuals. I see the actor. So it's just, I think,
Yeah,
I think the question. I think you're asking the question honestly. I don't know if you're going to get a lot of traction on answers, because people will either take offense to it because that's how people are, or people will just dismiss. That's just how they are, or they're just going to dismiss it as that's a silly question. And I'm not saying it's a silly question, because I think what you're getting at is maybe the question is, what are you getting out of it right?
Yeah.
What does the power gamer get out of the game part of a role playing game? If that's, and maybe you're asking, I don't want to speak for you, but
Well,
maybe
I
are
can
you?
tell you like one version that I
Please do.
wanted to get at is
Yes.
okay, if you play Pathfinder, if you play Shadowrun, to like create this character that becomes super powerful, like optimizing the system of playing the game, then my question is, why are you still playing? Like you do it once, you've reached it, and I think you should be satisfied because you achieved the game mastery. Move now you can move on to something else. But the people persist playing in the hobby still. When in my head, I was thinking, oh, those people like sort themselves out and find another hobby that is more engaging
Interesting.
on
So,
that
in other
level.
words, like if you, now I don't know if this is true of Pathfinder, but I think you could probably find people who are really good at min maxing or people who are really good at looking at systems and breaking them down. There are
Yeah,
people who have brains like that. They're very good at breaking systems down. Those are the playtesters you want to fuck up your game. Break the game, right? You've heard that term when people put a game, break this for me. And then they do, and then they
absolutely.
go, oh, So the game breakers or the power gamers or whatever you want to call them, I do wonder, and I don't know if this is true, could you potentially just make a type of fighter in Pathfinder and then unequivocally that is the best path to take every time? Because then if it is, then that part of the game, if that part of the game has been quote solved,
Yeah.
then maybe the interest is just taking that perfect specimen they've made and putting it in different scenarios to see how it performs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've made
Yeah,
the perfect
absolutely.
fighter with all the perfect things. Now I want him to fight these three orcs. Ooh, now I want him to get ambushed in this game over here. Now I want him to see this over here. Because
That that
the
was actually
reality is, right? No, go ahead.
that was an interesting story I heard of somebody else. That's what happened. He had a friend, and you know it's YouTube. I listen to people talk about role playing stuff.
Sure.
And he said his friends, he enjoyed like fighting, solving the problems, rocking up to the problem with his specimen of a character sheet, beating the shit out of
Intuition.
it. But he put him in a Kobayashi Maru position. It's only you can only lose. The question
Yep.
is how you will go about it. And the
How do you handle
player
the loss?
and the player got up and left the table. He was not interested and he stopped playing. He's like in his tradition. They played for years. They're good friends. After that event, he realized you gave me a situation that I cannot solve. I'm out of this game. That's not what I'm signed up for. And he left.
Yeah, that's going to happen though. I mean, that's the kind of guy you just don't play with. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but so do you know what I've done before? Because I've dealt with this before
So
at the
it's an
table.
so does it mean it's an illegitimate way to play role playing games? Like why to play role playing games? Does
Yeah,
it mean it's illegitimate? illegitimate. Yeah, I'm
no,
putting you on the spot. It's live. Everybody's gonna reference this for years to come.
no, here's why, dude. I don't think you can. I don't think you can delegitimize recreation.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see what I'm saying? I don't think you can
Yeah,
delegitimize recreation, which is
it's the
what this
basic
is.
point. Well, you do it for fun. So if it was fun, great. Nobody like the base layer has been laid. We are not here to break that.
Right. Now, I know that the 4D group likes to challenge the notion of it's fun because I think it's funny
Yeah,
because it's not A or B. The truth is in the middle of that. And I think if you have people like myself who've had a lot of fun playing, 2.5, 2.75 games who really go, yeah, this has been fun. The way I engage with role playing has been fun. But if
yeah,
there's a little inkling of this could be better, those are the people you want. You
yeah.
forget the guys you're never going to get. They're never going to listen to you. They don't care about what not you personally, but they're like, this is how I've been doing it. I'm the aggressive guy, and I'm
Why should I change for your
why should
table?
I
It's like,
change? Right,
okay,
but
maybe
if
you
you
shouldn't. I'm not
maybe you
inviting you
shouldn't.
the next time.
Why should I? If somebody says to me, why should I change? I would say you 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 don't have to change at all. I
Yeah,
would say to them, are you interested in a little bit more of an immersive experience? Zonalar, what's the same thing about every vacation you take, right? You got to approach it like that. I think, like, if you want to compel people,
How
if you
do you
want,
sell it to them?
right. Yeah, you don't sell it to, you know who the worst salesmen are? The salesmen who go, you're really stupid if you don't have this. Guess what? Never buying from that guy on principle, even if he's right. Right.
It's more.
So,
Oh, okay. My head was going to the salesperson who says this car has 1,800 horsepower and it has like 7
it's a lot.
stages and the windows go up and down automatically, and he just like rails off all of these statistics that mean nothing. What means
I
is
like it.
sit down, let's go on a ride, and you feel the hum under your butthole as it like vibrates, and you go
Wait a
down the
minute. Wait a minute.
highway.
I'll buy this car. This sounds
Yes,
great. I give up. I buy it.
and
I
that's the
buy
same
it.
thing as role playing. I'm just explaining to you the sensations, your character
Yes.
experiences, not what he feels, like what he physically feels, but you can
Right.
role play how your character reacts, how he feels, what he thinks. And
Yes.
now this
That's,
car ride is alive. You know, it's we are not looking
yeah.
at the stat sheet of the car has 25 hit points, got an armor class of 14, you got a handling of 3 and a power of 17, and that's how Shadowrun cars work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look at the vehicle stats in Traveler. It's like,
Oh
that's
yes.
I will, it is one of the, I know that based on what I've seen Tyler do, Tyler and I, we've both lamented about the sadness of being like, oh, all these really interesting RPG systems maybe don't work for 40, which is too bad. But but but
Yeah,
that's not what I
absolutely.
want. I don't want to drag you down that path. I want to
Well,
get
we
back
are
to,
challenging that notion with the upcoming Pathfinder game I'm in with Tyler.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really cool. Um, Do you want to know how I had to deal with a power game? So a lot of times at our
tell me.
tables, we'd have a solid table, and then we'd have the one guy who is our friend, and he really wants to play, so we let him play, even though he's a shit
Absolutely.
role player, even though he's going to try to break the game with his ridiculous fucking feet combination, right?
He's
So do you know
trash. He's absolute trash.
he's trash. No offense. So do you know what we would try to do? Do you know what I would do sometimes to combat that?
What would
Instead
you
of like,
do?
what would you do? Instead of GM fiating the Kobayashi Maru, what I did is I literally photocopied his character sheet and had it as a bad guy.
Oh my god. Oh,
And I
beautiful.
was like, this is annoying, isn't it? To deal with this, isn't it? So I've done that before where characters make where players make these impossibly powerful characters. I'm like, that guy's the enemy is going to be that guy, the evil
Yeah,
version. He's not going to look like you or sound like you, but he's going to have all the same shit that you have. And
right.
you're going to feel the pain
Yeah,
of how annoying this is and how silly it seems, right?
like
So
using a
I've done that.
role-playing game as an arms race to beat the game master is silly, and it ends
God.
up in silly games that you're not going to have fun with because you're still playing this like math finder manually with pen and paper, maybe one calculator somewhere. Just play a computer game that, Diablo 2 had an active
This guy, he's still
multiplayer
telling
scene.
these guys to play video games. He's like, stop role playing, put the books down and pick up the
Yes,
control.
pick up the controller, play Diablo 2. You have your incredibly. They used to be. They're all hackers. They fucking. They just copied the same runes a billion times to create this perfect character build, and hop in online and play out Son Goku against Vegeta in Diablo 2 in this epic battle that lasts for 12 episodes. And they just.
Kakarot.
Yeah, Vegeta! They just keep going at it, and they're still
That's
fighting to
cool.
this day. I'm telling you. But
Yeah,
they,
probably.
you can have fun with all of that. But if you do it at a table with pen and paper, I want to hear how your plus 36 attack roll looks like. And if you just
Yeah.
say, I swing my sword, you boring me to death,
You're
man.
boring me to death. I'm bored too. I'm bored just thinking about it. If
Yes.
you have a plus 36 attack and your description does not involve some kind of Superman flying around the world, flying your sword through his chest, I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
hear it because if it's a plus 36, it's absurd.
And
But no,
yeah. And if
no,
you
go
say
ahead.
stuff like, "Oh, it looks like if Son Goku punches the mountain," It's like now I'm imagining Son Goku. Like I want to watch Dragon Ball, not listen to your description.
Oh, that's a
Describe it.
good point.
Yeah,
Yes, that's when people use too many metaphor descriptions, it's like, wait, now I'm imagining the other thing you're trying to describe, right? That's
yeah.
funny.
That's a cool thing. What you did is like a basic copy.
Yes. Yes. I did. I made a doppelganger. I'll take
Yeah.
that, bastard. But I will say this, on the power gamers, the game breakers, the hackers, you know, telling them to go do something else, I would not stop you from doing that. I don't if there's anyone in there who could be swayed by telling them to go do that, I don't think you're going to sway them. I don't know what your goal is. Are you trying to sway them? I don't know. You can answer that when you
It's
want. But
mostly that I believe they will have more fun with those video games. But they might
right,
still have this, oh, but I want to play with the friends. Like your friend, he wanted to join the game to
he
play
did.
with his friends. And then he found this aspect of, oh, this theory crafting is fun. Like it
Right.
engages a part of the mind that is interesting. Like, oh, how can I don't know how to role play. I feel awkward at the tables. I'm
Yep.
insular. I'm like inward, not outward. So I could create a strong character. And they see that
Yeah,
as like the
that's
way,
very common. Yep.
yeah. And I don't want to
I
belittle
think
that. Like I find it incredibly wholesome.
yeah, so I will say this, as much shit as I'm talking about this friend of mine who shall remain nameless, I do think it's
Eric.
important. It's not an Eric, I promise.
Okay.
um,
It
so
would have been
I
funny
will.
if I got it first try. But
That
okay.
would be funny. But it is the way I see it is, if let's call him Eric. I've never
Yeah.
role played with somebody named. Oh yeah, once upon a time, I role played with somebody named Eric, and I killed his character as another player, which is really
That was
funny.
the last time we heard of Eric.
It was I didn't like him. Number one, we had a little beef outside of the game. I shot him with an Ithaca 12 gauge through a back window of a pickup truck in a Cyberpunk game and blew his head off. That was fun. But
Nice.
it's crazy that I just remembered that. I'm like, I've never played with Eric. I was like, nope. There's that one time I shot Eric with an Ithaca 12 gauge through a pickup truck
And
window.
he had it coming.
He had it coming. He had it coming in real life too. Let me tell you. But no, that's a whole different story. We won't bore the listeners with.
Yeah.
But no, if you know, take not Eric, take imaginary bad player I'm discussing. He's not imaginary, sadly.
Yeah, it's Bob.
If we can take Bob and we can put Bob in a situation where we go, Bob might benefit. Here's where Bob might benefit. If Bob has an open mind and he trusts me, trust is huge, to try something
important.
different, I might say, hey, Bob, how would you feel about trying out this character? And I hand him
Yeah.
a character. I know that's horrible, but if every time he plays, he's going to min-max, I don't want to just cut his balls off, because then he'll feel like all that time he wasted was for naught, and that's shitty too. I'd
Yeah.
rather say, hey, Bob, are you willing to try something different? And if Bob says yes, and I go, what do you think about trying this character out and maybe leaning into role-playing him a little bit more? Forget about the stats. Like, I was always, one of the points of pride I have as a GM is when I would say, tell me about your character, if they would hand me their character sheet, I'd say, I don't give a fuck about your character sheet. Tell me about your character. What is his dreams? What is his goal? What motivates him? Why the fuck does he get up every day? Why does he strap on a sword belt? Why does he
Absolutely.
why does he get in the spaceship? Why does he do, I mean, if he's in the military, I guess he doesn't have a choice. He already made his choice, but I don't care about this. But because Bill does so much, oh, I said his name. Because you can bleep that out, right? I'm kidding. It doesn't matter. But because he does so much, I would say, dude, this, forget about this. Like, you're too wrapped up in this. Try this in try something different, right? And if they're willing to take that on, that's fucking great. And that's a start.
Absolutely. So have you ever had that somebody tried it and he said, that's lame and gay, and this was a horrible mistake?
Oh, 100%. You see them. You see them. 100%. Yeah. I wish I could say I was the I wish I could say I was the power gamer whisperer. I'm not. I'm not. I don't have 100% success on this. I'm happy if I
Yeah.
get 50%, but no. Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. Because they flirt with it a little bit, and then they're like, I just like making the guy that breaks the game who has all the powerful shit. The funny thing is, this guy was in the game I played recently that I told you about 20 years later. He was in that group. And I was like,
Ah,
some
yeah.
things never change. He's got spectral wings. He's flying around.
And that's the thing he
That's
enjoys.
that's what he likes. So who the fuck am I to say? And I said, but this is cool. Try this. And if they're unwilling, then they're unwilling. And then it becomes a question of, okay, do I really want to invite this dude to my 4-seat table Vampire the Masquerade deep immersion game? If he's just
Oh
going to try to
yeah.
make a
Like
right,
how
maybe I don't give him an invite, and that's okay
I
because I
feel
don't think he'd
like
have much fun anyway. He wouldn't be able to do the thing we're talking about. He wouldn't be able to make the
yes,
fucking Excel
exactly.
spreadsheet character, so he might not have fun. So by not
He
inviting him, I don't think I'm being an asshole.
absolutely like this Vampire the Masquerade. I never played it, but I listen to podcasts. That's my secret
Yeah, yeah.
superpower.
Oh,
This
here
is the
comes my
game
cat.
where the Kobayashi Maru maneuver is gonna fucking show up around every corner. Vampires that want to outsmart you, out-trick you, get you in a bind, agree
Right,
to a deal, and now you're in. The fucking paper has been signed. Your blood is on it. What are you gonna do?
right.
You just role play out the horrible consequences and the struggle your character goes through. Or maybe he even finds a solution, and you have that one moment of, my god, against all the odds, he came out even stronger, like took over the whole city or the quadrant,
Right,
fucking
right.
like made them their slave. The power dynamic has been swapped around.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. It's
That's like
unfortunately
the vampire
it's
power fantasy. Is that correct?
That's a good question. What is the vampire power fantasy? I'll tell you what it was for me.
Yeah, we can do that.
For me, the vampire power fantasy really was about. Ironically, it wouldn't always play out in the meta of old White Wolf shit because in the old White Wolf shit, everyone's a pawn of a pawn of a pawn, but
Right, yeah.
that's not always how we played it. It was for me being like I'm a vampire. No one can fuck with me anymore. No one can tell me what to do anymore. No one can, right? It's that's
Yes.
the power fantasy. The power fantasy part of it
Ultimate
is
freedom.
correct. Correct. That's a recurring theme with me. It's that right there. Is that no? I am no longer. I'm no longer a cog in the wheel. But then when we got older and we played better vampire games, the irony was you think you're free, but you're not, and that's cool too. That's a more. That's a more. That's a more
Nuanced?
mature approach, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So pretty cool, man.
Do you want
Why do
to
you?
take up some ideas? I have like a couple comments that I looked at what people play role playing games for.
Let's do it.
I got one of them, and it's when I post comments on YouTube, it's all good natured. I want to know what people think. And sometimes you happen in this Reddit thing where they think you just want to win an argument so they could go in hot. So I think this is an honest comment.
Okay.
This
So
this
these are from
guy,
YouTube, not the Discord we're in.
yeah, a YouTube comment.
Okay.
It's on a channel called the DM Layer. He made a video like, actually railroading is good. And as far as I understand, like
Okay.
he's just like talking to 176,000 subscribers.
Holy
Whatever he
shit.
says, he can do no wrong. Critical thinking
Okay.
is hard
So
to get by once you reach a certain level.
correct.
The comment
You
replied to me, and he says, I found that what other players want to do that matters to their character means nothing to me, or even go against what I value. We do what they want, and I'm just along for the ride. The main plot of a linear game is the campaign MacGuffin, whatever personal ambitions of characters via their backstories, the Dungeon Master can weave in. Everyone gets their personal moment involved, but at the same time, since its relevance to the campaign plot, it's interesting and matters to all players.
The first two sentences, can you give me those again? The very first thing he said.
Oh yeah.
Or she. I don't know if it's a he or she.
Probably a guy, the way the name sounds like a guy. So I don't want to fucking blast him because hey, it's a YouTube comment. It's kind of
No. I'm fine with anonymous. Yeah. We don't. I don't want to start a flame war.
It's like replying to me. I have found that what other players want to do that matters to their character means nothing to me, or even go right against there. What I value. Yeah,
and that's a GM talking. That's a GM's position?
I don't even know. I think it's like both
what
positions.
The other players want to do doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Doesn't matter and has not. Wait, doesn't value it at all whatsoever. Doesn't no value.
But okay, so that's a person who's like, okay, gather around the campfire. If a story to tell you, you guys can listen. That's that guy, and that's fine if that's what your table wants. Whatever. But I would not be within a mile of that table. If a GM says, I don't care, and I've had this problem before. I had a GM say to me once, I was like, oh, I got a cool idea as to where my character's from and maybe what he's running from and what's going on and stuff. Do you want me to send it over to you? He goes, no, it doesn't really matter. I was like, okay. So I'm not going to argue with him. He was nice enough to run a game, but I'm like, so our characters don't matter? That's weird. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Shouldn't your character... Isn't the DM supposed to be facilitating a world in which the characters really do matter? Isn't that the point? The characters are the goddamn game. I think the characters are the game, right? I like character-driven film. I like character-driven TV. I don't like plot-driven shit. I like character-driven shit. So that seems suboptimal to me, to say the least.
It's one of those things.
Understanding
like with the later part of this linear game, the campaign MacGuffin, we are playing through Tyranny of Dragons. What your players' personal ambitions are doesn't matter. It's about defeating Tiamat. It's about defeating the dragon.
It's about the story I've prepared. Is what? Yeah. In other words, your characters really don't matter. Here's what level they need to be. Here's what the goal is. What your characters think and or want is really irrelevant because the story I'm trying to tell goes this direction. As long as you're on board with us going that direction, I think everything will be copacetic. Otherwise, right? I'm not, again, I don't want to put words in people's mouths. I'm just telling you how it sounds. Yes. It sounds like that to me.
That the whole video was called, yes, actually, railroading is good. And so it's about the virtues of playing out this. And somebody else left a similar comment. I'm gonna reference this one. And I have to find it real quick. So, and I want to say it. I do have to find it, actually. And I need a second for that.
That's no worries. I don't know. I think I don't want to pretend. I don't want to pretend to be something I wasn't now that I've located a group that plays a little bit different, but I've made my primary. I'm going to relate this to railroading. I promise. My primary method of game mastering was always I know the setting. I know the NPCs. The NPCs have goals. Those goals will likely run afoul of the NPC of the player characters. They may or they may not. As a GM, my hope was in my ability, in my desire to inadvertently lead the players that direction was obviously a thing I was trying to do. I wasn't just going, let's see what happens. I know that 4D does a lot of let's just see what happens, which I do think is interesting and really cool, and I'm looking forward to trying when I eventually GM. But I've always been like, okay, I know what's happening in this place that the characters inhabit. It could be, I know what's happening in this section of this fantasy place that I've created. I know what's happening in this particular on this particular planet, in this particular region, in this Star Wars game I'm running, or I know what's happening in this particular city where these vampires live, and I know what these vampires think of each other, and I know what they want to accomplish. Insert player
Yes.
characters. And then I will alter the setting in the NPCs based on what the players make and want. If yours like, oh, I imagine my Nosferatu as this, and I go, okay, cool. And then I take that and I bend it into the setting and NPC stuff. And that's how I've always done it. And then I have this idea like, okay, if the players do nothing, that's what I used to do when I would write games. If the players do nothing, this town will be consumed by a demonic horde or whatever. That's overly simplistic.
The ritual completes, and the prince,
correct,
the prince
whatever.
of hell, like enslaves them all. They all turn into tieflings, and the horde reach the surface.
And then the trick was to, sorry, yeah, there's thunder and lightning here. That's all right. If it gets bad, I'll have to jump off. Just when it gets bad, thunder and lightning here. I got a lot of gear, and so lightning surges. I get a little squirrely about.
Oh, I see.
But we'll go until if it gets bad. Can you just let me know, hon, if it gets shit really bad?
Yeah, I've heard that Texas has problems with flooding.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does. I'm far from Texas, but I'm on the I'm up in Massachusetts. I'm on the East Coast up north.
You got your own shit going on there.
We got our own shit going. Don't get me started.
Better catastrophes.
Different stuff. So no, yeah, like in other words, that's how I would do it in the past. So is it a railroad? Yep. Not really, but do I have the reins of the horse a little bit? Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, and that's the thing of like, the sentiment at the end. Okay, so the players' backstories that the game master can weave into the campaign. That's good, but it's bad if it's just the players want to do their own thing. Yeah. If I want to like give it the most charitable interpretation of, oh, don't show up at my table as the rogue that just wants to get rich and has his own plot going. You know, the Batman character. I don't talk to anyone. I got my own thing. My mother's name was Martha.
Hey, you watch out. Andor's good. No, it's it does make for challenging spots for the GM to be in.
So here's another comment that I got replied with. Cooking your own food can be hella fun, but eating a well-cooked meal from a chef, the chef being the game master, is also fun. I hope this makes sense. So
that's a horrific. That's completely fallacious.
Do you want to play at a role-playing table where the game master says, you know, I'm the chef, I prepared this pristine campaign dish, you're here to enjoy it? For me, it's so against anything I want to do at the role-playing table. I'm like, no, I'm out. Whatever you're coming up with, Baldur's Gate 3 did it better because they have 100 people working. The video game did it better.
The problem with that analogy is that it presupposes what the actual meal is.
Yeah.
So for that guy, he's presupposing that the meal is the story, not the role playing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's his own module that he wrote out of what would happen.
Yeah. That's why I don't like the chef comparison. I just think it doesn't apply. People try to use metaphor a lot when they have bad arguments. It's just...
Yeah, they fall apart.
But hey, here's what I think. In the paradigm of what he wants, that's a perfect analogy because that's what he wants. So yeah, have the chef prep away. Open up your mouth and let him choo-choo train the food right into your mouth on the fork. I don't give a shit if that's what you want to do. Like he can airplane it in, whatever you're into, you know? Elfunder says something really awesome here. Do you mind if I bring it up?
Go ahead. Bring it up.
They misunderstanding. It was they say there needs to be a plot so the story's good. They don't realize character-driven games make better stories anyway. Yes, I agree. I tell people this all the time. There's a reason. There's multiple reasons why the film Rocky, the first one from the 70s, is a success. It's not a success because everyone's a boxing fan. It has nothing to do with the movie.
No.
Boxing is the boxing of Rock. The story is I don't want to be a bum. What that means is you have a character driven story about a guy who doesn't he wants to prove to not only his loved ones but himself, the guy in the mirror, that he's not a fucking bum. I don't want to be a bum. I want to go the distance with the champ. And even though he doesn't win, he wins. Do you see what I'm saying? So the boxing is superfluous. It doesn't matter to the movie. It's just the obstacles for the character to overcome in the second act.
Can you remind me?
It's a character-driven movie.
I don't want to like confuse movies, but was it the Rocky movie where at the start there was also another boxer that he knew that is also boxing, because they box for money, right? Like they make the fight for the gangster.
Yes.
They throw the fights to make some money on the side.
Yes.
So he knows this other character that's like all beat up, that has done it for longer than him. I don't know what his name was, Sneaky Pete or something snaky.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched it.
But I remember that scene of, oh, he knows what a bum looks like. This is gonna be him if he just accepts the handout and throws the fights. You know, he loves boxing, but he surrenders it because he needs the money to pay rent and stuff.
Right. Yeah. With the point that Elf Hunter's making is absolutely true. There are plot-driven movies that are kind of cool. Like a perfect example of a plot-driven ensemble is The Usual Suspects. It's one of those like crazy, plotty, thick movies. It's really, the characters are surface level, sort of like it doesn't really matter characters, right? But a movie where you're like into the character, what's he gonna do? I mean, Goodfellas may be the perfect example of that. What's Leota's character gonna do? Like he's in this situation, it's driven by the characters and stuff. So it's less about the plot, and that's what people don't realize is that I think did I write it down? So I'm gonna quote Crispy. This is really weird to do, but I wrote it down because Crispy had a really good point. He said, quote, "My character isn't trying to create a story beyond satisfying his immediate needs and long-term goals." End quote. That is a perfect summation of what character-driven really does mean, right? The character
you're playing your character. You're not performing to the game master or the other players. This is not the perfect story or the great story. It's John Roleplay's story. What does he do? What does his character do at the table?
Who is he? That's a big one for me. Is I would sometimes, one thing I used to do a bit excessively was demand a lot of information about a character and their backstory.
The 20 questions. You need to tell me the names of your parents.
I did a lot of that. I did a lot of that stuff back in the day. Probably too much, to be frank. But for me, what the point of that was, as a player, was when I sit down at the table, I'm hoping that I can be that character. And like you guys always say, I'm not trying to be an actor. I'm not trying to use crazy fancy voices.
Yeah.
I just want to be that character as accurately as possible. And I think if the only thing you have to go on is a character sheet of statistics, when you sit down at the table, I think you're going to default into characters that you normally are. I don't think you're going to push yourself outside of that comfort zone enough. And that's why sometimes I like being like, tell me what's a little bit about this character. Like I need a little bit of a backstory, not because I demand that the GM uses it or that the game reflects it, but because I want to, at the table, have a point of view that I'm trying to role play by knowing a little bit about what this character has been through. That's why the Traveler creation system is really interesting to me, because it's like, here's what you did in school. Here's where 4 years went here. So that's when you do that kind of character creation, it starts to put you in the headspace of like, I kind of know this character now. And I think that's super helpful as opposed to just D&D stats or Pathfinder stats. Like you need to know, for me, that's how I like to work. So when I talk backstory, I'm not even saying because I think the GM needs to use it. I'm saying because I want to inform me, the character, when I sit down, how to role play this character, or at least have a little bit of a direction to take him.
Yeah. Have you ever played Morrowind?
Yeah, the one before Skyrim was Morrowind. Or no, that was Oblivion.
That was Oblivion, the one before that.
Um, I seem to remember Morrowind, but I've played so many
The
games.
original Xbox video game. Loading
Nope, I
screens
didn't
take
play it.
5 minutes. So the genius of that game is you get off the boat, right? And they
Yep.
ask you some questions to figure out like how you align. And they play it like a survey, but what it does is putting the character you're playing into fictional scenarios and how he would react. Like
Mm.
you find a guy and he yells out he's been robbed by some bandits, and he tells you the story, and you can react to that like, oh, you poor soul, or you had it coming. If you were stronger, this would not
That's
be a
cool.
problem. Or, well, you better hand over your pants too, pal, because I see you don't
That's
have
a,
you don't have a sword anymore.
that's cool.
And that's
You
the
know this.
perfect metaphor of what it feels like if your character is in different positions and how that informs your character to
Mm.
understand what you're playing.
Yeah, I made a Star Wars character once. We played a lot of Star Wars, not like apart from the movies. We liked to play like, fringy smuggler types all the time. We just like to do that. So
Edge of
I
the
remember,
Empire stories.
yeah, Edge of the Empire guys. I remember having a guy who owned a little bar on this like space station somewhere, kind of like a Quark character. And to
Nice.
better inform the GM and to better inform myself what he was like, I wrote like 3 scenarios, like short little scenario paragraphs about what he would do in that situation. So
Ah,
so so it would inform me. So I'd be like, if somebody came to my bar to do X, Y, and Z, here's how I think I would react. And I did that as a thought experiment to be like, this is my morality. Like this is this
yes.
character's moral compass. So then it informed me when the game started, and I think that was a pretty cool trick. Um, and I like that. I don't know. I think that's a kind of a cool way to do it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay, you show up at the table. It's hard to get into the character if you
Yes.
did not think about it. So, one of the strengths I enjoyed in the 5th edition D&D, flaws, weaknesses, strengths, and quirks,
Yep.
something like that, that you could write down as like 1 or 2 sentences,
Um,
things that define
I'm
you. And
I'm gonna.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Keep going.
that's it's all good. The whole point was I found those little blob on the character sheet incredibly powerful because when a situation happens, I glance at that and think, well, is that what would my character do? I look at my bracelets, like what would my character do? And then
Right.
I role play
Shake
it
the
out.
ball.
Yeah, shake the
Shake.
ball. Yesn't, maybe
I've
not.
played with role players worse than the 8 ball, by the way. Outcome unlikely. Wow, thanks for bringing that to the table. So, um, on Max's reactionary principle gaming, he recently did a video called "To Push or Not to Push," I think it's called, and
I
and
enjoy
um
that.
and
Yeah.
it was good. I would talk to nobody the whole time I listened to it. I wish I could have talked to them. But Phil brought up the idea of playing a character, and I like this. He's like, I thought about playing like kind of a beta, like a weak character. In Max, I'm saying Mash because I'm saying 2 words at
All
once.
good. All good.
Max was saying, well, you don't want to be and I wrote a huge thing on their video. Max was like, well, you don't want to be a passive character, and he's right. But you can be beta and still be an active character, which we don't need to argue about. But I like what Phil is doing there because Phil is basically saying, I want to challenge myself. And when he thinks I want to make a character that way, I would like to know how he imagines it going because you're right. If you don't think about what your character is or what you want them to do, then when you sit at the table, you're going to default to generic Zonalar character 1, right? Or generic Dean
Yeah.
character 1. That's just going to happen. Are you being beckoned? Is it time? Is
No,
it
I'm
time?
fine. I'm good.
Yeah. I got to run pretty soon because I got to prep for another thing. But
Oh, I see. All
so
right.
no, man. It's I like the idea of doing that, and That's why in the past, I know this might sound crazy, but I have been it it's like role playing role playing has become like a weird sex thing. It's like you've done so much of it already. You're like, let's try something different, you know. So I was completely on board with
Get the waffle iron out, honey.
yeah, dude, break out the whatever. We got to mix it up. We've been doing this a long time. So what I'm saying is 4D is just a fetish for me, guys. That's my only interest. It's just a fetish for me. No,
Beautiful.
no.
I'm
What I
glad we
mean
got to
is
the core of why we play RPGs.
why we role play. Because we're debaucherous heathens.
They both say good session at the end.
Yeah. You need a towel at the end? I don't know.
I need to decompress at the end, that's for sure.
Oh, shit. Yeah, can we talk about this? Holding the blanket up to our chins. I think fuck, I think I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it was too funny.
Oh no. But I like that's why I'm cool. Like if a GM comes up and says, "Hey, I have some pre-gens. Do you want to play this game?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it pushes me out of my comfort zone. I go, "Yeah, I would never make a character like this. I wouldn't even know how to play a character like this. This is a cool challenge to me." And that's what I think. You know, you play role playing, and I'm half joking with the sex comparison, but you role play for such a long time that you start to go. Like Phil's going. I just want to be a weak bitch, right? Because he's role played everything else, right? So he wants to try something different, and that's cool. And I do like that. That's why I'm willing to or try whatever. That's why 40 is interesting. You know.
That's why I push back. You know, I make fun of the Crusaders for saying, "Oh, you should only play a male human character."
Oh, I don't know. I don't get into all that. That's hilarious though.
Although
I will say
the points that I enjoy about that is, hey, if you play a male human and you know you're a guy, you're human, it's easier for you to get into the skin of what they're about.
Yes.
If you play a woman, or if you play an elf that's been around for 200 years, how do you even approach life? You need to solve bigger issues, questions first, before you can get into the character itself. Otherwise, you are a male human with breasts and pointy ears. And that imagination, you know, you see me show up, rock up at the table, 300 pounds, and I say, and I flutter my eyes, like looking wistfully into the horizon. I say, if only a white knight was here that could help me in this precarious scenario. And people at the table gonna bust out laughing because they can't take it serious. Like, guys, I'm trying to roleplay here. I had a scene, I had a moment, and all they can see is me gaining 200 pounds live in front of their eyes. You know, that's what they envision.
Yeah, that's funny. So a couple things that you said I think are very interesting here. I have been for years, Zonalar, and I say this with zero irony, for years, I have been saying things that I think are true, yet it still doesn't stop me from engaging in doing the thing. So let me decode that. I have been for years saying nobody knows how to role play an elf because who the fuck can possibly fathom being 600 years old?
Yeah.
You can't possibly fathom that. So we do our best to be an elf. But then the counterpoint is, well, you've never been a wizard either, asshole. Just being a human doesn't mean you know what a wizard does or what a wizard thinks. Yeah. But I've said that forever. I'm like, nobody knows what it, like, do you imagine, like, think of Elrond. What's he, 3,000? Elrond takes a shit and like 2 generations of humans have died. Like time doesn't pass for him the way, like, that's why I never understood, like, oh, the elves are mad at the humans. They're going to attack. I'm like, are they? Or are they going to take a nap and you're all going to die of old age? Like, they can just wait you out. They don't have to. They live for, like, same with vampires. Ancient vampires, you can't possibly imagine what that thing is. It's, like, so wacky.
They don't need to deal with you.
right. It doesn't stop me from wanting
Role play.
role play them. I will say this one last thing. So this is just a funny anecdote. There's no point here. We're playing at a table once, and I'm playing with my friend. He is known as Orc Mike. He's really fucking funny. And we invited somebody to our table that we didn't vet properly, and this person, we'll just call him Eldar Bob. We called him this because he liked to play Eldar and Warhammer. Long story short,
Got it.
we're at a table. He's playing a female Jedi who came in out of the rain, and he describes it in a high-pitched voice. She comes in out of the rain, wet and glistening, and she turns to the Orc Mike character, and she says, "Oh, it's raining," or whatever she said. And
Yeah.
Orc Mike, without missing a beat, out of character, just said, "Talk to me in your normal fucking voice." Because it got too weird. We didn't know the guy. He was really fucking. He goes, "Hey, talk to me in your normal fucking voice," just like that.
You're coming in too hot at this table. We need
You're
you to
coming
cool
in
it
too
down a
hot,
bit.
dude. Hey, there was a brief silence. We all cracked up laughing. It was really
beautiful.
fucking funny. I felt bad for the guy. The guy was really weird. He would make armies with because he was a war gamer. All his armies were like topless chicks with their tits out, and he'd paint their little red nipples. He's a weirdo. He's a fucking right. He's a nice. We liked him. He was cool. He was a little odd, and that's okay. We're all weird in our own ways.
It's
I'm
what
not
he
judging.
enjoys.
It's what he is, and that's cool, man. Whatever. More power to him. I hope he's doing well.
I do
If you ever
hear you
listen-
live longer if you get to look at, well, breasts.
even pewter ones this big.
I wonder
know.
if it's a worthwhile investment if it means plus 2 years,
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a funny situation. I was like, that was funny. Talk to me in your normal fucking voice. He wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. He coming in too hot. But no, to your point, I'm not opposed. Like if somebody wants to, isn't the point of role playing to be something you aren't? I don't know, right?
Some
We're
people
all being
disagree, right?
Yeah, I guess.
We got the two, I think, opposites. Play somebody else that you're not. Or play yourself, but a better version of yourself.
Or both. I don't understand. Like I like cats and dogs. Like like can't you just try to do both things? Like, maybe I want
Yeah, but like
play,
not at the same time, right? Like you can't do it.
No,
at the same time.
of course not. No, I'm saying across different games. Like
Yeah.
maybe I want to play maybe the next character I want to play is a black dude from Louisiana. Am I allowed to do that? Or maybe I want to play a female elf. Or the dreaded half elf. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who cares? But then a lot of times
Yeah.
and even when you do that, like, I don't know if you agree with this, but even when you do that, you made a joke saying that I'm just a guy with pointy ears and breasts. I mean, we're still, to go back to you can't fully divorce yourself from who you are. You're still going to express who you are through that avatar a little bit.
Even when I
right?
play a woman, I'm still a guy, and I'm still 300 pounds. I still got a
you're still
mustache
who
on
you
my
are.
face.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I can
It
put
doesn't
on the
mean-
pointy ears, and I've been threatened, with violence if I do that at a table. But I might just do it anyways because that's a gamble worth taking.
First of all, threatening violence against a guy who weighs 300 is an inherent risk.
Yeah, but he's 400, therefore there are weight classes happening at our tables.
He's a true Yokozuna. That's funny. But no, I whatever. I think it's
that's the whole thing of like, okay, I still have to be able to take you seriously. So if you play a ridiculous character, but you can play her seriously, like a beautiful dame who is basically like plays a bard with skills in persuasion and deception and can play the politics game. I can see this happening 100%. Vampire the Masquerade,
yes.
a female vampire that like subverted at some point the thrall dynamic with her master, like overtook him. Like a lot of
Right.
vampire movies are about that, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm alone, forever, like I want to play thing. Then they evolve
They're very
emotions.
goth. Yes, they're
And
very
then she
goth. Let's be
realizes,
real.
holy shit, what if I just take all the power? And you got the wound, stake through the heart, pushed back into the sarcophagus, closed up for 200 years, and story happens when it
Yeah.
opens for some reason. And
Right,
drama
right, for sure.
ensues. And you can have all of that with me at the table and with the neckbeard and the mustache and eating Doritos. But you have
No eating
to.
Doritos.
Okay,
Just drinks.
maybe not that. Oh, drinks are okay. We bust out the Doritos during break if it's a long game,
Yes.
or after, before or after. But you have to do it with a straight face. So if you can take it serious, and the other player can take it serious, like who else is left? That's how we played the Lich's Dregs. Mr. Max took a wench and slept with her because he's an orc. In orc
Absurd.
society.
I'm leaving the group.
Yeah.
Kidding.
And I was there like, how do I play out this female orc? Like, what would be her reaction? I was not prepared for that. So I was like, I think the funniest way is like, she giggles a bit and she takes it as a compliment of, oh, she's wanted, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's what you do. You do the best you can. You explore something. It's not. We're not. Listen. There's this problem with the whole industry, which is like we feel it's a fucking recreation, but now that it's a business and now that the spotlight's on it, we feel like we have to represent shit. Get the fuck out of here. You don't
Get
represent
off my
me.
table.
You don't represent me. I don't represent you. Like I'm not
Yes.
saying that shit ain't important, but if it's important to you, then it's important to you. But like, yeah, you just do what you can. Do the best that you can. But I mean, it's so. I do have a question, and this isn't meant
Yeah.
to be deliberately inflammatory, but if people
Man,
think
I'm an
you should
open
never,
book. It's all on YouTube, you know? It's like the worst part I've
That's-
ever
no
roleplayed
editing.
is on YouTube. Yeah, unedited.
My question becomes: if people feel as if you can't play something other than what you are, I don't know if you're saying that it comes from the 4D community, but if it does, then how do the people who believe that in the 4D community reconcile being a game master?
I've asked the same question. I think a
Like,
lot of
if
it
you're going to
breaks
play
the-
other things, right?
a lot of it I feel like is the very similitude. So how much can they buy in? And
Okay.
and the more friction there is, like the harder it gets to go over that hurdle. So Mr. Max pulls the line at, I'm not playing a woman. And he also
he
said, I'm not
shouldn't.
playing
That makes
I'm not
sense.
playing a cat, because how does a cat think? Like, I have to be fucking crazy. And then he got through the points of like, oh, I get to be an egomaniac. I get to not give a shit about the world. Now he plays a cat boy samurai in this Daggerheart game. And it's kind of
Yes.
funny. He has a catitude. So he
That's
found a way to bridge
hilarious.
that gap. Yeah, it is. It is.
Right.
It's beautiful.
So obviously, I would never try to debate a man who isn't here, and I really like Max. If he doesn't,
Yes.
if he's like,
Max
I'm
is a
not going to
friend
play.
of this channel.
I like Max a lot. If Max doesn't want to play a female, then he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's that easy. But other people might be more comfortable with that reality. And since GMs have to play lots of different peoples, and we're going to cut GMs slack, then I think it's okay to cut a player slack. If you're like, well, the GM can't be female characters unless the GM's female, then I mean, what are we talking? We're getting a little silly, aren't we?
Right? Like,
It's a
the
little
whole
silly.
problem, a lot of the problem is, oh, I play a female character, and all you play is like this bimbo.
Or yeah,
That
I
is
get-
just
yeah.
like, oh, now that I have this body, I fucking showcase it every fucking opportunity you get.
Is that
That's
what you
when
think
you-
of women? Is that what
Yeah.
you think of us? No, that's what I think of this particular character. Stop trying to make this something it isn't. God damn it.
But
Right.
I've seen those players.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
have a dear friend of mine. He really enjoys playing female characters, sexy, mystical female characters. And I think like, well, the last 5 female characters, they all feel the same. I don't feel any difference between them. It's different settings, different systems. They all feel the same. You're being kind of one note with the women.
Right.
I wish you could play them differently. It's like, well, he tries, but role playing, it still feels like I'm pulling teeth with him, even though it's what he enjoys, and he's doing the voices, but he's it's weird
What?
to describe, because at one point he understands the role-playing part and it's what he enjoys, but then we have these sessions of my character goes to sleep, my friend's character goes to sleep, his character that is also a vampire is active at night, and he takes the next 90 minutes role-playing out
Yeah.
solo with the game master, and the scene ends like after 60 minutes and he starts a new one for 30 minutes because the night is not over yet.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just like,
impossible.
it misses him like over the head as, why would this be a problem? I'm just playing my character, guys. I don't
Right,
understand.
right. That gets back to what we said at the start of this, which is like, yes, we don't want to just make a game harmony decisions if it
Yeah,
compromises our characters. But there
yeah,
is an element of harmoniousness required at the table, or it's just not going to work, right? There's a reason you don't roleplay with people you don't like.
yes.
Even if they're a great roleplayer, if I don't like you, I'm not going to fucking sit at the table with you. I got other shit to do. So I think
And,
that's completely fair, right?
and that's why we invented like terms like a turnflation
Sure.
of, don't try to do four things at once, because when it's my turn, I have the pressure. If I do one thing, I just, like I'm cutting myself short. Everybody else is doing multiple things when it's their turn. If I
Yep.
only do the one thing, then I will not have enough time at the table.
Right. Yeah. Before we get too far past it, I'm going to tell you how I
Yeah.
used to think about this thing and how I've kind of changed on it a little. But I remember people who would always play female characters who were men, and I used to think that was a little weird because I thought it was very like Hannibal Lecter-y, like they want to inhabit and possess and control. Like that's how
Oh,
I
I
took
see.
it. Like you only play women and you're a dude. I think that's a little fucking weird. I used to think that. I
Yeah.
don't know if I still do because I've known people who play women characters and they're cool people. So, but I used
Yeah.
to when I was a little younger. If somebody's like, I only play females and I'm a male, I'm like, that's a little fucking weird, man. Like you want to control and possess and Hannibal Lecter some fake woman because you can't do it in real life or something. It used to be a red flag for me, but not anymore. I've played female characters before, so
How
anyway,
dare you?
I know.
You don't represent the other half of the human
you,
populace.
you're goddamn right. I don't. I represent me. Stop trying to make me represent you.
Me, but what
I,
if I had a good figure and men liked me and
what if
women
I was
envy me?
built like it?
You know.
What if I had a womanly body? What would that look like?
Gotta
Anyway,
make a
I,
t-shirt with Mr. Mac's face and Catitude on it. Go ahead, Elf Hunter.
that's funny. Hey man, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you've had
Yeah,
fun.
I've had
I hope
fun,
your
guys.
viewers. I hope yeah. That's what it's about, buddy. I
Any
hope your viewers get something out of it.
do you want to wrap it up? Any last words, or maybe something you're doing you wanna do? I
Any
mentioned
last
my
words?
thing.
Sounds like
We
you're
got
going to execute me.
yes, any last words.
Viva la revolution. No.
Okay.
Sorry. You were
Off with
asking
the
me a
head
real
then.
question.
I didn't think you were going French.
Oh shit.
You can roleplay
Um,
anything you want, but if you come up with that French accent, I don't know if I can watch
I'm
for your
thinking
life
of
anymore.
I'm thinking of a Robespierre character. Is that no? Um, so no, I don't know if I didn't know if you have any final parting things you wanted to ask. If chats, I think the chat's thinned out a little, but we had a few in there at one time.
Since you
Um,
mentioned you wanna like wrap it up, I was looking for a good way to end. I could look at some of the chatter I've had with people that I've enjoyed, talking with YouTube comments and Reddit
yeah,
comments. They don't. One of the comments that I replied to of let's see if Elf Hunter said, "We are hilarious." Oh, amazing, great, good to hear.
thank you, Elf. Thank you, Elf Hunter. Quickest way to a man's heart named Dean is to tell him you think he's funny. No. Thanks, buddy. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
One guy said, every group, like replying to me, every group is different, but my group tends to suffer from analysis paralysis. and discussions that go in circles. So they prefer knowing that I am going to prepare something for the evening, and they take the baits and play, and we have a lot of fun. We jump into an adventure quickly, and being able to prepare certain narrative beats help me provide a satisfying night of play with a beginning, middle, and an end. Now this little detail that he says, like, it helps him provide a satisfying night. For me as a game master, this is antithetical to what I want to do at the table. I'm not here to satisfy you. I'm here to satisfy myself, and you get to bear witness. You get to join in.
You're like a fucking Batman villain. The world will hear me, or they will suffer.
It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. It's fucking funny, lighting it all up on fire.
My father was a drinker. You're like the Joker over there. That's funny.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Zonalar is the game master. He's having fun. This Zonalar is a human being who understands that other people are at the table, and we all have limited time. So other people are going to have fun too. If you're not having fun, the table's not going to have fun. I mean, that just goes with. If you're a GM and you're having a miserable time, I doubt your players are really enjoying themselves. I attempt to disbelieve this illusion. Do I get a +4?
I think if they do, what happens is, they stop caring about the game master. They just use you for the story you're telling, and it creates this like abusive, like literally abusive relationship. It's weird, right? Because we don't think of it that way.
It's like when your cousin
just show up.
It's like when your cousin gives you the shitty GI Joes, and they're like, "Now you play with these, but I play with these." Right? That's that same shit.
Here's a controller, but it's not really plugged in into the Nintendo.
No, I don't know. It's weird. Like he said, like narrative beats. I think I heard.
Yeah, narrative beats.
He said his group suffers from analysis paralysis.
Yeah. What if
therefore I want to make a story? I don't know what that even means. These comments. This is the problem with engaging with comments, is that they're just so. One of the reasons, and I know people probably hate this in the 40 group. One of the reasons I write a wall of text is because I'm very careful about being understood and get my point across effectively. That whole paragraph I don't even know what it means. I don't know what he's saying. It's not communicating anything to me.
I can tell you what I hear. It's you don't want to waste the evening. Either, so. The players do not have a strong desire of what they want to achieve with the character. So you bring the dungeon to them. You bring the adventure.
Okay, so let me jump in on that. Why don't the characters have a strong desire? So what are you doing? Are you saying to the group of characters, what's your goal, all characters? I don't know. Maybe the answer is talk to each.
Yeah, I believe the players are passive. They've learned to be calm, passive players. The game master says where they are, what they do, how they feel, what they think, what they see. And the game master goes on and on and on and on and on because he's so stuck at delivering this perfect game, like Matthew Mercer or some other YouTuber that has like fuck off money with a billion writers creating this beautiful multiverse for the players at the table. You don't have to. What you have to do is tell the players, you get to choose what you want to do. Now we agree on a premise of this is the framework. That's what I'm doing with Tyler. We are playing Pathfinder, so we will put in some effort to understand the rules. So it's not gonna be like, holy shit, like literally deer in the headlights, not understanding anything. And we play an adventure path, but it's a premise. The premise is we show up in the village and adventure path problem will ensue. How we handle that is up to us. So I'm gonna play a character that has like a mild interest in helping people. He's lawful, but I have my own shit going on. He's from another continent. I'm a black dwarf from another continent where we were on the surface for generations, and we got a 10 at this point. I got kidnapped by Drow. I was a slave for 20 years. I don't even have dark vision because I'm a surface dweller dwarf. You know, I'm a mountain
Yeah,
dwarf. I've been poisoned. I got like a poison minion trait. They poisoned me so that as a slave I don't die as much. If somebody bites me or attacks me, they get splattered with the poison in my blood.
sure.
To so I don't lose value, you know, by dying randomly. I just made it
Ah,
back to the surface. I just survived, and I happen to meet the other player character, and we go to the village, and that's gonna be session 1.
that's awesome. See,
Yeah,
if I was running that game, I would just want to sit for like 15 minutes, not even at the table, and just talk to you about that character.
yeah,
Right? That there's so much interesting shit there. I would be like, okay,
absolutely.
like what's his immediate concern? What's his like I like to know a character's headspace. I'm weird like that. That's one of the things I like. And that's why when that comment is read like, oh, the players have analysis paralysis, they don't know what they want to do. And I think you're right. I think it's because nobody sat down and said, hey, Zonalar, tell me about your character.
Yeah.
If
What
you're
do
like,
you want to
boy, I
do?
don't
You
know.
know,
If you
like,
go,
oh,
if you go,
nobody
boy,
asked me yet.
exactly. If you go, boy, I don't know, then the GM, a good GM, is going to say, well, let's talk about it. Let's brainstorm together. Let me help you, especially if you're a newer player, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we want to engage new people in this hobby so they don't, watch critical role porn. No, I'm kidding, but it's it
Critical
it's
porn. How do you want to end this scene? Like on the
what
face.
production value? My bedroom don't look like this.
I'm sorry. I'm going a bit too hard on on the edgy jokes.
Yeah, that's my thing. So I apologize to
Yeah,
your viewers.
I turned off my filter for this show. Gotta put the filter back on.
Fair enough. If you lose subscribers, I apologize. But no, I think that's where the rubber meets the road, man. I think that's where you help the player. I would say, tell me about your character. Oh, awesome. Tell me about something and this is why I like these questions because it gets people to think about their characters more. I like to
Yes.
say things like, Crispy, tell me a time in your character's life when he failed. Tell me a time in your character's life when he failed.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Does it
Absolutely. Oh,
haunt
that's
him?
beautiful.
Yeah, you got to ask. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not saying just take a generic question sheet and always use it. I'm just saying it depends on the game. It depends on the setting. It depends on the players. It depends on the GM. Sit down and fucking talk to your goddamn players. Why? Your character has a limp. Talk to me about it. What happened?
That's what I
It,
used to do.
you know?
In my Descent into Avernus game. It's still on YouTube, but it's like 4 years old, 5 years old at this point.
Oh, wow.
It's like, okay, we have a campfire. You guys, and I named a player character. Tell me what story he tells the other guys at the campfire about his
Cool.
personal life. And
Oh,
that
I
is
love that.
literally
I would
me.
eat that up. I would eat
Yeah,
that up. I love that shit.
but now I hate it. You know, it's
Yeah.
funny because I don't want to even ask them. They should know. It's a campfire. What do you do at a
Yeah.
campfire scene? Either you go to sleep because you want to know what happens on the next day, or you tell a good story. You know, you get to know each other. This is the moment where you can create some connections.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think when I say I like to ask the questions, I don't even mean in session in character. I mean before
Yeah,
we even
like
get to the table.
outside the
I
table.
want to know about you. Tell me about, I had this character.
Tell me about the scar on your face.
Yeah, I shouldn't talk about it because I'll probably use the same exact line. It almost started to become a funny hallmark for me, but I liked to play these down and out warriors who were very much inspired by Logan Nine Fingers. But this like I remember having a conversation in that game I told you about that I came back to and hadn't played for 20 years, and it was all new people. And I remember the look on all their faces. We broke for camp. We got off the road. We were sitting and eating, and it was just a moment to, some may call it patty cake. I disagree because I think it was a moment to explore who are we and who are we adventuring with. We didn't know each other. We wanted to
Yeah,
talk at this campfire to learn. Okay, who's the guy that's got my back if we're going into the shit over here? I need to know. I need to know if this crispy guy is gonna fold. Like, I want to talk to
Yeah.
him at the camp. Who is this fucking guy? I'm putting my life on the line. You want to get into character? I'm just gonna assume this guy's got my back. I don't know this guy. So we would get into these role playing discussions, and I remember saying I was eating a piece of chicken, and I said, the first time I shit my pants was at the Battle of Seven Hills. I remember it just became this idea like, yes, I'm a big tough warrior, but I can be afraid too. And I was afraid for my life that day. So I remember it just became a thing, you know, once per every different game with different characters, I would want to say it almost like a funny bit.
The
Like,
Battle of Seven
but
Hills, they've all been there. You know, they all
they've
had the
all been to
same
the Battle of
chromatic.
Seven Hills.
Oh yeah, my guy. I stood guard, you know, at the battle, but I did not see the
Yeah,
fucking ballista shot coming. They
that's
fucking
right.
went past me and hit the whole platoon. Like 12 people dead.
Yeah. But no, I'm not to be overly up our own asses with the role playing, but I do think like I think it helps for GMs to, and that's something one thing, you know, I'm never going to claim I was a 3 and 4D game master, but one thing I've always been pretty decent at, because
You
I
can
have
never
my
claim
flaws.
this. This is ours. This
No,
it's a
that's
new
fine.
thing.
It's that I always liked to talk to the players about their characters and get to
Yeah.
know them, to help them frame a moral compass, to help them frame a point of view, to help them come up with what motivates you. Why does your character get up every day? What are their goddamn goals? And I'm telling you, if you can answer those questions, I think it's the perfect marriage of that idea with 4D, because then
Yeah.
you're like, this is a character driven. Who's my character? Where's my character? What's he say? What's in front of him? And if you have the framework of really knowing who you are instead of just being Dean generic character number 3, then I think it can help you push the boundaries of like an immersive role playing experience. And that, the reward of that is also why I play. I love that
Yeah.
idea, you know?
And
Oh,
we
thanks.
want
Thanks, Bacon.
yeah,
How you doing, buddy? He says
this
this has been
has
great. Thanks,
absolutely.
buddy.
I did make fun of him for misspelling it twice.
Yeah, that's fat finger shit right there. I do that all the time, especially if you're on my thumbs. Forget about it.
Yes,
Bacon's
on
got
the
great
phone.
videos, by the way. Bacon's got
Beautiful
good
videos, yeah.
man.
I
He goes
I
deep.
gave him some help on how to set up OBS, so he doesn't
I
have to use
saw.
Camtasia anymore.
Oh, no, yeah. OBS is solid once you get to know it. It's good.
Yes, you just have to do it a couple times, and then it becomes like second nature.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Anyway.
Bacon. Of course, no worries about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to help. You know, the few things that I am good at, I'm glad I can impart some of that knowledge. Even though I see
Yeah.
myself as like a perpetual amateur in everything I do. I always
I
feel like, oh, role
understand.
playing
I
is this
understand.
it's the only thing I got going for my life. You know, don't take this away from me.
Nah, don't put that much pressure on yourself. It's that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah,
No,
that's
you're
true.
first. Well, if it's any, you know, I don't want to do like a pee pee suck thing over here, but I think you're the reality is you have a
Go
YouTube
ahead.
channel, and no, I think you can hold a conversation with a guy you barely know. That's not easy for everybody. Like what you're doing right now, trust me when I tell you, not everyone can do that. So that's a second skill you have. Put it under your belt. And these guys will
Nice.
tell you that's not I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. That's true. To be able to passionately and coherently get your points across with a guy you don't know from Adam, that's good, man. That's a start. That's good shit. So don't beat yourself up too
It
much.
helps that roleplay is the thing I think the most about, you know, so makes it easier
Sure.
to get to the points.
Not your wife.
Yeah.
Wife
I talk
first,
ab-
role play second.
I talk about roleplay with my wife. She plays too. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's distracted unicorn, is it?
yes. And it's been one of the struggles to get my wife on board of this way of roleplay because the problem was or is like playing with friends, and I'm not enjoying those games anymore. They play a different game than I want to
Right.
play.
They don't want to do the 4D thing?
No. And when we try, they feel weird about it. You know, they feel like it feels a bit pretentious. You know, it feels a bit aloof. Like
That's not super inaccurate.
they just want to be like a working man's role play, like get together with the boys, enjoy a good meal, like get some pizza, something. And
Blue collar role play.
yeah, blue collar role play. Let's bash in some heads, you know, beat
Oh
up
yeah,
the
that's
goblins.
awesome.
And I know they enjoy role playing in those games, but
So what if you split the difference?
they make these separations of, oh, now it's combat time and now we can role play and
Yeah, I
still
get that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a natural. That seems to be almost the design. The design of the game is the games are almost designed as that, right?
And
Yeah,
not
you can
to it's
describe
not
your
limited to D&D because
no.
they play the Dark Eye, you know, we play German role playing systems here too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Dark Eye, Shadowrun. We tried out Starfinder for a while, so we got like several systems under our belts of role play, like players that know their systems. They've invested time, invested energy. They're hooked in this whole sphere. But like rules light role playing games where we focus on our characters and create scenes, they tell me, "Oh, you're talking about games like Fate." Or what's the other
I
one?
see.
The White Wolf games. You roll 2d6 and you just describe what you do. Oh, like you
Mind's
make
Eye.
up a lore.
You're thinking like
Savage
the
Worlds, I
fate
think.
stuff, the fate stuff,
Fate
like
stuff is one of
monster
them.
monster of the week.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of them. And the other one, well, I'm forgetting. I was thinking Savage
Yeah.
Worlds, but I'm not sure. So
Well,
so it's like baked into the rules that you can invent stuff or set the scene. Or Blades, oh, you want to play like Blades in the Dark, where you just like create this whole retcon scene of how you prepared for this one moment. And I cannot convince them that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing I'm doing the opposite. I don't have to ask what I know. I will just roll and say and tell them what I know about the company. And I want the game master to nod and say, yes, this is true now. It wasn't true before, but you made it true because you are not breaking character, you're not breaking the scene. Like, as long as it's not violating the world itself, which can be
session
hard.
0, right? Whatever you come up with in session 0.
Yeah. And I think that's the hard part. They love the world of Shadowrun. So every time you come up with something that doesn't quite fit, it's gonna like push this button of, I've read so many books, I know the lore so well. They want to push back all the time. So I feel constrained, you know, I'm like wearing a fucking straitjacket at when I play with them.
Right. Yeah, that is difficult. It is difficult because to them, they have a verisimilitude of what Shadowrun is and what it's supposed to look like and how people are supposed to be to them, right? Because of their knowledge of the system. It would be like
and
it's like playing
experience over literally decades at this point.
For sure. Well, it's like, you know, it used to be the fear of playing in Star Wars.
Yes.
But you just put it away from all the main shit. You put it. The galaxy's a big fucking place. You could put it. That's one of the cool things about Traveler. It's massive. But no, it's tough. I mean, that's at the end of the day. I just think it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I think that's okay.
It should be okay.
I do have a longing for interesting systems because I do have that kind of like nerd part of me that does like that. I obviously prefer character. Who's the character? What's the character about? Tell me about the character. Let's role play. Let's get immersive. But I also have that nerd part of me. I mean, they're all nerd parts of me, but that nerd part of me that's like, I want to look at a cool system and whoa, you can get this really neat upgrade for your ship and Traveler. And oh, what a fucking cool idea this particular vehicle would be.
I have that with a game known as Stars Without Number.
Yes.
If you've heard of that, which has a whole extra rule set of faction play. Every month that goes around, you can have a turn for all of your factions, and they have their own resources and their own goals, and you can use that to populate the star systems and how that plays out. Because in Stars Without Number, that one is, you have a jump drive but you can only jump one hex. If that hex doesn't have a star system, if it's empty like void, then you cannot expand, you cannot go beyond the borders. You're stuck with those coupled planets and civilizations. So the interactions are limited, but if you evolve, then the board opens up and you can end up in crazy scenarios. And I always love the idea of, my god, I really want to play out those faction roles of what if the players stick around for like 3 months? How is their world evolving? What are the factions like? Is the faction gonna fucking die? Did the police state win? Or is the cult like gaining in powers, and now that there's AIs on the loose, like creating a robot army? And all of that, having that inform the world. And then I never sit down and actually do it because it's fuck ton of work and I'm not so good at it. I'm not that good with Excel spreadsheets.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, dude, I did all this research. Did I lose you? We had a
You're back. You're back. Yeah, disconnected for a couple seconds.
So there was I got so geeky that I started to go into medieval books and texts to figure out populations and how big a population was, so I could properly make a map that made sense based on how many people it could support. Like, that's the level of nerd shit I get into.
Oh yeah, it's like this. You wanted verisimilitude, but to reach verisimilitude, what is a believable medieval village?
Correct. So that's my problem. It's this weird like ADHD hyper focus thing I get sometimes, where I can't just be whimsical about it. I'm like, okay, so who runs this town? How big is this reeve? How big is this barony? How big is this duchy? Who runs the duchy? How big is this kingdom? How many people does it support? What's the population? How many, can I just make a fucking village and be fine and just say there's 100 people there? Why do I have to know all the other shit? So that's a thing I'm trying to break out of my own head. And I think that's another 4D answer, is you don't need to know all that shit.
To play, you don't need a session. To play a session, first you have to create the universe, right? That's a problem.
Dude, it's a problem. And it's a me problem. Because I'll be like, all right, I go from, I want to make a medieval town to, let's learn, how does the Pantheon work? You just relax. You don't have to know every part of it, but it's I think observing 4D in interacting with you guys is going to help me break that habit a little bit.
I've been enjoying, like, the Pantheon question is a big one for fantasy nerds, right? If you want to play a cleric, you kind of want to know what's going on with the whole Pantheon deal. Like,
well, let me jump in real quick. Even beyond that, I think it's part of the verisimilitude, because what's the expression? What does the villager say? Does he say, "Oh, thank the gods"? Well, who is he talking about?
Yeah.
Do you not know? Your game's shit then. No, I'm kidding. But yes,
but I don't know. I'm just gonna reference to like the gods as a whole.
And and that's
only
fine.
Becomes a point. Yeah, it only becomes a point if the player's interface.
100%. You're absolutely right. The story is about the character. It's funny. I'm a character-driven guy, but I'm obsessed with like the place. I want to know the place you're in. So it can be very counterproductive for me. So if you're one of those GMs and you feel similar, you're not alone, because I'm trying to back off of that. We don't need to know. I only need to know the street you're on. I only need to know the little town you're in. We can forget that. Talk about the characters. Yeah. So, but what else you got? I can run another 10 minutes because I gotta.
I'm down. I wanna reply to Elf Hunter. Has your crew watched 4D actual play? I don't think so. They have watched my video, like when it started last year. What is 4D roleplay upping my game? They watched that one. And they watched the ones I've referenced of Mr. Max, of the Driftwood example. You're just allowed to envision a driftwood at the beach and picking it up. You don't need to ask for permission by the game master to co-create simple things. But but a lot of the worries stem from, well, first of all, a big critique was I don't want to play with people that think, oh, like this style of play, talking at the table and having fun and eating Doritos, this style of play is like below them. They don't want to play with those guys because it's like the snobby part.
Of course.
Which I understand. I don't want to say that. But I do say it because, man, I don't want to play those games anymore,
That's fair. And that's, dude,
Yeah.
exactly. Hey, we mentioned Max doesn't want to play a female character. Fine, don't.
Yeah.
Who cares? That's fine. So,
Absolutely.
But I know, I know exactly what you're saying, man. It's like that's why it's all about your approach. It's starting wars with people. I don't know if it's the right move. I think if you can just say, look, here's a different way to play this game, instead of saying to people you're playing it wrong. I think if you say this is a different way to play, are you interested in that way to play? Because if you are, I would be happy to like introduce you to like some of the ideas here. So that I think that's just basic common sense. And then the other part is this. I think sometimes it is just going to be a hurdle for some people. They're going to resist that. Like the co-creation piece, you mentioned the driftwood. I watched Max get a lot of pushback on that when he was on, I can't remember the guy's name's channel. It doesn't matter because I don't want to start a flame war. But it's interesting. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when like the Brazilian
It could have been
guys
Legion of Myth. That sounds familiar to me. Like
I don't know, but it reminds me of when the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys would go into karate dojos and challenge them to fights, and watching their worldview crumble as they had no answers for wrestling. It's that same resistance. Like, no, this is destroying everything I've ever known. This can't be true.
What move can I do to get out of this grapple? You don't know. You never trained anything.
You don't know. You don't have the skill set for it, and that doesn't make you a pussy or weak. It's just the reality.
Start the flame war. Better with Bacon Monson.
I just like drama too. Yeah.
I left it out on purpose for YouTube.
yeah.
Throw him under the bus while we got the chance.
But the other thing I was thinking too is this, right? We've all heard the expression too many times in our lives, you have to crawl before you can walk.
Yeah.
So perhaps it behooves us to not force co-creation on people that are new. 2D to 3D is the hardest jump. We would agree. Why are we making people go 2 to 4? Make them go 2 to 3. If they get comfortable with 3, then you start giving them 4. Maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on their skill level and their willingness to engage in it. Somebody might be like, well, I'm not comfortable with co-creating. I'd be like, great. How about this? Stay in character the whole session and pretend I'm not here. Let's just start with that. Instead of overwhelming people with a litany of fucking like the litany against fear from Dune. Like, you got to do all these things for
the 10 commandments, man.
It's too much. Let's focus on don't kill people. All right. Have we mastered that? Okay, cool. Don't steal. Right. So maybe that's the move. If they don't have a skill set or if there's a desire to not want to jump into like, holy shit, I got to come up with like the guy, and they've never even thought that way. Maybe you build them up by going, how about we start here? Or we let them tell us. One of the things let them tell us.
It's like, okay, you're trying to learn a game by never playing it. You just read the rule book. That's not how you learn the game. You just play.
Right.
Like, okay, how do you play fucking soccer? Fucking throw the rule book out. Get on the field.
Yes.
Try to kick the ball first.
Dude, that is a beautiful... the most beautifully simplistic point we've made all night you just made, which is you're never going to learn how to play. You're never going to have to fucking learn how to play soccer on Discord. Never.
Yes. Never.
Go kick the goddamn ball. Forget every soccer rule. Just run with the ball at your feet. Good luck. That's the hard part.
Try to kick the ball while running, while keeping the fucking ball at your feet.
Exactly.
Like you're gonna
forget offsides.
Yeah.
Forget offsides. Just fucking dribble. Can you dribble? Bacon asks, do I have a channel? I don't have a role-playing channel. I have a little gaming channel, but it was mostly video games. It's kind of in a standstill right now as I re-strategize what I want to do video-wise. Long story short, I've been talking about film and TV since 2014. And then I'm not joking, at least 11 years. And I've managed to be fortunate enough to land a following, and I make some money on it. So it's like a second job to me, which is really cool. I've been passionate about role playing games forever, but I've never had a really good way to want to interact with them online.
Yeah.
So I do, with my dear friend Brian, we play a lot of games like the Lord of the Rings card game. We do a lot of that shit on the channel, but I've
Oh, I
talked to
see.
him a little bit about this stuff. So I will likely start dropping some role playing videos on that channel. It's very, very small. I have a much bigger audio following than I do a video following. But if you just Google LSG Media, you're going to find everything I've ever did and every stupid thing I've ever said. So that's that. But if you want to
Absolutely.
check out my gaming, it's just LSG Media Gaming. It's very small. It's like 100 something people. I got like 1,000 something on the movie channel, but I'm moving away from doing long form reviews on YouTube. I'm in a bit of a, how do I want to go forward with the video portion of this? I understand and have maybe not mastered, but I have a pretty good grasp on podcasting in the audio world. I'm now trying to
Gotcha.
transition to video. Video is a new beast for me. I have a very nice camera that's going to waste, but
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it looks
So
great. Your setup looks pretty great. Everybody
yeah,
likes,
it's
oh, okay, here's a frame picture, here's the guitar. There's some red lighting,
yeah.
there's some blue lighting on the other side.
As
It's
Shoner would call it, it's bisexual lighting. I believe that was his quote. I'm like, that son of a bitch. That is a funny joke. That's a
it,
good joke.
it's hilarious. Like I
Oh,
had my
thanks,
lights
Bacon.
turned
That's
off.
cool.
I got this light
I
over
pre
here. Now I'm
Bacon that
illuminated more.
Bacon, that goes to my heart, brother. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude. That's really cool of you to say. Um, so yeah, it's I
Beautiful.
actually recently talked to Phil because I did a Dune podcast. We covered the entire Dune book. It's called Mind Killer, a Dune podcast. There's actually another
Yeah.
one with they stole our name. I'm like, this fucking guy took our name. But you'll know because ours is the older one. But my friend
Oh, I
Matt and
see.
we covered the whole book. It was a really cool conversation. If you're we got I've done probably I don't like I hate pimping my own shit, but I've probably produced like about 10 shows. I've done a lot in the last 12 years, but video has been a weird bugaboo because I hate the algorithm. I hate
Oh, I see.
the
Like the YouTube
bureaucracy.
side of pushing
Yeah, I'm
things to
still,
people.
we have video content that I don't love. We're in a whole new, I'm trying to really decide the future of my little podcasting business when it comes to video. I don't really know what I want to
It's
do.
a
But
whole other
audio,
can of worms.
it's a whole
Absolutely.
other can of worms. Yeah, this stupid camera, I'm not going to tell you what it costs. It was too much money. But if I record locally, it looks insanely good. It probably looks like shit because we're streaming. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I can make out the individual beard hair is how you tell that it's a good camera.
that's good. As long as it doesn't make me look uglier, I'm fine with it. So yeah, that's thanks for asking. But yeah, I think on the gaming channel you will see some video games sometimes. I was playing like Red Dead over there. I've played a lot of tabletop sim board games on that channel and a lot of card games. There's this really cool guy called C-Stan. He made something called Dragon Card, so you can play like the Marvel card game and the Lord of the Rings card game. They're huge Lord of the Rings card games fans. The LCG, we play that over there. We make decks, and then it's like a cooperative romp through. You'll see I got videos for all that shit. But anyway,
Beautiful.
that's my little pitch. Thanks for allowing me to. I am, by the way, my wife who's on the show and my partner Scott will both tell you I am the worst promoter of my own shit. I am so bad at it. I suck at marketing. So I'm gonna lean on people to learn more about marketing strategies. But anyway, that's that.
Yeah.
The old cryptozoic. Yes, it's an old one. I love that game, Bacon. I don't care. I love it. It's
And
awesome. I'm a
there you go,
sucker for
guys.
LCGs. Yeah. Anyway, that's
Alice
that.
LSG Media, is that right? On
Yeah, you
YouTube?
got it. You'll
Yeah, there
find
you
all my
go.
shit. Well, not on YouTube. You'll find us online. If you have a podcasting app and you type LSG Media, you'll find
Tada.
a ton of podcasts. Yeah.
So
That
Spotify, iTunes, all of that.
I'm on there. I'm all over that shit.
Okay.
But
Great.
Hey, man, this has been amazing. I'm about to go do a show, another show in an hour, but maybe we'll start at 7. I don't know. But
You're
anyway,
gonna hold it in here for a minute as I shill my shit.
please, by
Then we
all
can end it.
means, chill. I might be having another internet hiccup, just as a warning.
No worries. Yeah.
Yep.
So right now I'm doing the Pathfinder thing with Tyler, and the whole question with that we answered if you can 40 roleplay in D&D, and the answer is yeah, pretty much, but it gets harder the higher level you go because it's really easy if you can just know the rules beforehand and you don't have to relearn the wheel every time. But with 5e, like many other like similar games, you have to learn every spell every time they come up. They have like a structure to how spells work, but they remake the structure. Like every spell has its own what's the word? Examples. They break the rules. Like every spell breaks its own rule at some point to be different than all the other spells. So what ends up happening at our table is you just have to learn all of these exceptions as well, which makes 4D roleplay hard.
Yes.
So the only logical conclusion is let's do it again, but with Pathfinder. we turn
That's
up the
genius.
heat. You know, like there's only one logical conclusion. We take the most laborious rule set out there that people like, that people play. Another example could be Burning Wheel. Hey, let's fucking bust out Burning Wheel, and that's another monster that could be attempted.
Burning
But
Wheel is sitting on my shelf over there.
yeah,
And like 99%, by the way, this is I'm being sarcastic. Like 99% of people who own Burning Wheel, I have never played it.
I got a couple games under my belts with a couple different groups.
Oh,
So
cool.
I've played it before, and I've played it as an elf, as a human, as like a peddler of goods. And there's so many interesting mechanics in there that I do enjoy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more negotiations happening of what skill counts to add as a bonus to your roll and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's something. You know, I might be interested in trying it at some point, just because I am enamored with the system side of Burning Wheel. I'm playing out
Right.
this like deep verisimilitude world of
Yes.
getting like connecting with the mechanics of the dice, getting that thing going.
Well,
I'm
dude,
yeah.
no, go ahead.
Well, there we go. Pathfinder will happen. There's also gonna be impact frame, a system that Nicholas is making up as we go along, creating
That's fucking cool.
his whole own rule set and answering the question role playing, but what if it's an anime, you know?
100% possible.
Yeah,
I think.
because
Yeah.
the
Definitely.
verisimilitude of, well, I just fucking jump 200 feet into the air and then we beat each other as we slowly float down, blocking each other's attacks and punching back and forth. How do we achieve verisimilitude, like for the roleplay, an immersive role playing experience in that kind of tone? And
Right.
building a construct around it that allows us to have the rule set to support that, not take away from it.
Yeah, and I think it should be important for people who like I'm probably I have a lot of my listeners know that I love role playing, so I will probably share this link with them. In fact, I know I will. So hopefully you get a little bit of
Great.
a lift from that. But I will say this that 4D my metaphor was it's a recipe, right? 4D is like a recipe for role play. But I think
Yes.
people have to think of I think the important thing is, like anything, you can't think of 4D as it is either this in toto or it's abject failure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good way to think of things because that makes it very intimidating, which is why I
Yeah.
think going from 2 to 3 makes a lot more sense than 3 to 4 if you're new to it. But if you are willing to check your ego a little bit, because this is what I did for me, if you're willing to check your ego a little bit and consider something a little bit different, it may open up a new type of role playing experience for you that you have yet to have, and that you've probably only ever felt in moments. One of the most
Yeah.
fascinating things about the style that you guys are perpetuating is this idea that there are these great moments in role playing games, these great role playing moments that you can think of in your past. I'm talking pre 4D. You think of those moments and you're like, imagine if the whole fucking session was that, right? And not all amazing moments, but always those in character moments. And I think that's a really, really cool thing to strive for. And it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you have to say, like Phil did in the Traveler game, I'm sorry, are my eyes burning or are his eyes burning? That's going to fucking happen. It doesn't ruin the
Absolutely.
session. No one's going to
Yeah.
remember that. They're going to remember how cool it was when the space station flew apart, or the antagonism between Adam and Phil's character. They're not going to remember that one moment where Phil's like, is it my eyes or his eyes? And I think we have to not treat it like we are
Let me
committing
write up that
VD.
violation against roleplay law over here. Hour
Let's focus
2,
all our energy on the
minutes
one
12.
shitty thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. So we can't treat them like venial sins. That they have to just be like, fuck, I asked something out of character. I fucked up. Move on. We don't have to spend 25 minutes deconstructing why. It's like, it's just, that's not how people. I don't think it's a good environment for learning personally. If you just crack the whip every time there's a little violation, I think you're gonna turn people off. And I just think it's something to strive for, and I like that. And that's not to say don't watch games and critique them. Yes, do that. Um, but
One
it
big
is
one big point for me was role playing is the win condition. When I sit down
yes,
and play a role
that's
playing
interesting.
game, I win whenever I get to role play. I get to
Win condition. That's such a
yeah,
weird way to say it,
it's a
right?
game, right? So how do you win the game?
Whoa, you're blowing my mind. I'm thinking board games have win conditions, right?
Yeah, they do.
You
Like video games have win conditions. You want to reach the end of the story. You want to beat the boss at the end. But what's the win condition of a role playing game? It's not about killing the dragon. It's
no.
about how do I create like this most immersive role playing experience and play it out my character in that setting where dragon is like threatening this town with an ultimatum. I just
You
happen to
know,
be there.
never ever in my life. We used to say it as a joke, Sonalar. Never in my life in a role playing game have we ever said, "Oh, we won." The joy is the experience, dude. It's
Yeah.
not the destination, it's the journey. I know that's so fucking corny, but it's true. If I'm at the table and I'm in this is an immersive, cool, challenging, fun experience and everyone's like vibing with it, we're winning.
Yeah.
We won. And
So
that's the point.
imagine it like this. If your goal was to reach the end of the adventure, you're gonna have 19 horrible sessions. And the 20th session, when the adventure ends, you're gonna have a good time. But if
Yeah.
your goal is to role play or have a good time with your friends, you can achieve that every session, every time.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
And that's why I'm having so much fun playing these 40 tables.
That's
That's
awesome, man.
one of the main reasons changing what does it mean to win at the game. I redefined it and now I'm having a great time.
Yep. I agree with Bacon. He says, I actually don't like applying win conditions to TTRPGs. Right. That's why I was like, wait, win condition?
Yeah,
He
it's
goes,
like,
win
wait, hold
conditions
on,
are,
see, what is this heretical talk over here?
he says that they are quantitative, meaning you can measure them. Stoppage. TTRPGs can, sometimes you got to break down Bacon's words for the cheap seats because he uses
Bacon
words.
is he likes to
It's just-
think like a theorist, and I'm
yeah, totally.
I'm what's the word? I'm an applicant. I apply
Yes, I get it.
what I see.
Action,
What can I put in?
action versus theory, right?
Yeah.
But quantitative is to say can be measured, right? So like board
Yeah.
games, you can typically measure how we're playing a board game. Who's going to win? Well, here's what the rules state. Here's how that's going to happen. You can quantify that with mechanics in the board game. That makes sense, right? TTRPGs much better without
Yeah.
thinking of it as a win. You're you're not literal. I mean, you're literally doing it, but I think you're being kind of tongue in cheek when you say we're winning if we're role playing. Right. Right.
I'm
It's
winning.
just a
Like, okay,
yeah. You're winning as
did
you're
I
role
win
playing.
today? Man, I role played the shit out of my dwarf. I was in the mud. I fell down. I lost all of my hit points. I died
That's
in
funny.
agony. I got sucked dry by succubus. I mean, the life force got sucked out.
Totally.
And
Totally.
a decrepit corpse, but I got to do a. He's gone. And it's all I
Oh yeah.
wanted, That's all I ever wanted
Yeah.
from a role playing table. I'm gonna be a happy bee. I'm buzzing.
Absolutely. I like for me it's pretty simple. I think characters probably need some kind of goal because the goal then creates opposition.
Yes.
The opposition creates conflict. The conflict creates drama, right? Does that seem like a logical chain? And that's fun to me. I don't know. That's an enjoyable
Like
experience. I
anger
don't
becomes hatred, the hatred becomes power, and power makes you as if oh what is it?
I think he says it like this, suffering. That's funny. So yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool.
That's how I made you the bad guy here. I don't know.
Suffering. Oh
But
my
like
god,
I
it's
could
funny.
play Gollum, and if I just get to be like a decrepit creature trying
Yeah.
to trick the party into like a spider stand, get them all killed, that sounds hilarious. That sounds
That's
so much fun.
I want to play Smeagol and choke the bastard who tried to take my ring.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, he ate
this is
all of your food, Frodo. That fat thief.
the instigator.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Phil the Frill. Like I see him glow
Oh,
up,
dude,
his
Phil,
eyes shine every time. He's like, oh, I
dude,
get to be mischievous.
Phil is. I dig that guy. I think I'm
Yes.
gonna get along with that guy. I like that dude. He's cool, man. Every time I see the sparkle in his eye where he's about to fuck up everything, it's just
That's
and
hilarious.
it's not table breaking. He just puts people in a corner, like, and then he wants to see how you're gonna react, like under the pressure of what he's got in his this devious little brain. It's
Even
cool. I don't know. I dig it.
I got to play that one session recently, the Traveler session with Rick. Did you watch that
Yeah,
one?
that I haven't watched the one you were in yet. I watched the first one. Wait a minute. No, I watched some. I was at the gym working out, and I was listening to some of it. I
Oh, okay.
remember. I remember the space station flew apart. They were trying to figure shit out. Crispy became the doctor with vomit all over his
Yes, yeah,
face. I
yeah, yeah,
remember
that's
the
the one.
vomit.
Yeah.
He was very specific about describing the vomit in his doctor beard, which
It's
made me actually
beautiful.
go. It made me laugh out loud while I was at the gym. And then you had like a Russian kind of guy who was like a scavenger guy or something, but
Yes, yeah, yeah.
it was hard to hear because there was a lot of shit going on. I was moving around a lot, so I do aim to want to listen properly in an environment where I can hear it. But I really loved I kind of wished I could have been in it. I know I haven't got a lot of experience yet. I was like, oh, that traveler game, that's fucking awesome. But I think Phil is cooking something up for me and Uriah and maybe Adam. He DM'd me, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, check it out.
Your
And a lot
chat's getting
about
away
like,
from you over there, by the way.
yeah, it's fine. So the
What's up? What's up,
RPG,
Tyler? How you doing, buddy?
lots of people talking, but I don't care. I'm gonna talk my point first. Then we can still
Yeah,
address chat after. One of the
true.
things of the RPG Crusade, like a culture that we are pushing for, is put up a game, put up a session, ask around. I want to play. Get in a training session. Let us know that I need a training session because we need to be able to vet you. Like, okay, it's not about are you the correct type of person. It's about, can you imagine a world where you decide what you're gonna do. You don't have to ask God in space of, is there a torch in my backpack? It's your backpack. Pull up my backpack. Check if I packed any torches. And that is like, almost a bit like, you can just decide. It's your backpack, dude. Nobody's
Yeah,
gonna chew you
the
out.
the
You know?
player character dichotomy is an underexplored part of the hobby, I think.
Yes.
Because it was for me because it was it too often we conflate the two, right?
Yeah.
And that's a problem. The player is not the character. The player plays the character. That's why whenever was it Phil who said it with such great simplicity and he just said, "Who's better at playing your character than you?" He was talking to somebody, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That made
Yeah.
it eroded this wall in my head that was making me struggle to understand a lot of the concepts. And in that, it was like a sniper shot for me. Because
Bam.
then I was like, of course, stop conflating the two, which is what I kept doing in my head, right? And it is, yes, the player will decide how the character reacts. And even if we're not talking about things that you normally control in your own body, because that's the character, the player does that. So that was a huge eye-opening moment for me, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, chat.
Yeah.
Clawing your way to the end is painful. Yeah, exactly. Well, there has to be a win
Yes.
condition for it to be a game under pretty much every definition. And that's why I redefine how do I win the game. Oh, as long as I get to roleplay, I can sit at a bad table, biting onto the hook, following the railroad. I will be my character. You're not telling me how I feel. If you do, I overrule it immediately. If you push my character of you're in the palace now, I say, having never entered the palace, I sit outside the walls, ignoring the guards as hard as possible.
I love it.
And I will do that like all nights until the fucking game master gets the point. Because he didn't listen the first time I said, so I get to play my character, right? And he said, yes, but he does know.
I mean, dude, that's a whole other thing, because you're there's so much, although simple. If you just say let's not talk out of character, let's like but beyond that, it can get much more. And
my wife is struggling. Yeah.
So there is a situation where the 4D part of it, the
I'm done now.
It's because here's why. Because there is a classic idea like the game master is the authority at the table. That's why.
Respect by authority.
That's what it is. If you want to shatter that, just have you, the player, describe how one of the NPCs feels about your character. Then they'll know how you feel.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, the barmaid loves me. She gives me all her gold. I could see, the barmaid loves my character. Wait, you can't tell me how the barmaid feels. I can't? Well, then I guess you can't really tell me how I feel, can you?
The barmaid loves me so much, she invited me into her room, so I'm following her up. And then you just role play out this whole scene in front of the players and the game master until he says, please stop.
It becomes then the gym's like, well, now you have chlamydia, and then it becomes a battle back and forth of like just nonsense. But anyway.
and that's how you end the friendship, you never talk to each other again.
Do you remember that time how we emotionally played tug of war with a fake person?
Yes, I remember.
In real life.
That was fucking stupid. I agree. Let's have a drink.
Yes, exactly. Let's remember at the end of the day, and this is not meant to belittle role-playing or Dungeons and Dragons or Traveler or 4D. We're talking about the toy department of life here, people. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
I know it's nails on a chalkboard to some people, but come on. We are doing a thing because it's more fun to do the thing than not to do the thing, right? We like to do it. It's we are either removing pain or adding pleasure with every decision we make. Are we removing pain or adding pleasure? And I think we're adding pleasure and maybe removing pain when we engage in this hobby in a way that we enjoy it. Like that's really what it comes down to. We shouldn't.
And the decision to play Pathfinder was to figure out what we do enjoy, the little things and the mechanics that Pathfinder gives us of how to build cool characters. But instead of building for power, we build for verisimilitude of what's a cool concept. And running with that idea. Because it's like, oh, you shouldn't have to sacrifice the complexity of the rules for roleplay, but it has been easier because you need to keep track of less things. The time is linear. At the table, you're on the spot. So either you think about the 8 different feats you have that give you a plus 28, and all the circumnavigational whatever's happening in the world that adds bonuses or minuses, or you think about how you would react to a goblin ambush and yell out ambush, throw up your arms in the air and hide behind the cart and crawl under it. I know which one I prefer.
Yeah, for sure. It's the 8 feats, right? Am I in the wrong chat here?
Absolutely. That's the whole point why we play role-playing games, guys.
I play role-playing games because I want to break the system and min-max my way to the biggest bonus for my attack I can possibly fathom. That's what I want to do.
I feel like the Japanese only play role-playing games to kill God. Because it's every story ends up killing God in a JRPG.
I don't know much about that world. I'm sure.
Well, you play one Final Fantasy, you played them all. It's
yeah, that's true. That's awesome.
All the Final Fantasy nerds gonna be really upset at me now.
They're coming after you with pitchforks, baby.
Yeah.
Daryl Errett, I may be saying that wrong, states, why do we play RPGs? He says for him it's like opening a present. That's a really good way to say it.
Aww.
You don't know what you're going to get. And you go, oh, cool. I like that, Daryl. That's cool, man. That's
At
good,
least
that's
I would like to know that it's going to taste like chocolate if I open the box of chocolates. You know? I don't know which one. I don't know which flavor, but I know it's going to be good. It's not going to be like a present wrapped up and... Well, it's brown and it smells pretty strong. And oh my god, that's not supposed to be edible. Like, no. Just because you can eat it doesn't mean you should.
Every once in a while, you're going to get that fake orange tasting one, but otherwise, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, isn't that, I think you just did Forrest Gump. Role playing's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, I did. See how I snuck that one in there?
Yeah. You're not getting that past me, pal. Flame Zombie, being very sarcastic, states you play role-playing games to win the game against the GM who can just make the numbers bigger if they don't want you to win. No shit. Like, fighting the GM is a losing proposition, by the way. The only answer you have is to get up and leave the table. Right?
Yeah.
The GM wins every time.
I studied game design in college. I started game design in college under several of same professors that teach technical writing. Okay, Flame Zombie's just flexing out there in chat. I see.
Is Flame Zombie listing his bona fides again?
His bona fide.
I'm just teasing you.
Name your time and date. Okay, I'll make it work. Yeah, if you guys are doing stuff together, awesome. Let's get more games going. I mean, right now I've signed up to like 3 different things. There's also like an all wizards table. Nobody's interested in that. I don't know why. Why do people not want to play a game? Table. Yeah, everybody's a wizard. We just we still have to come up with the system to play. But I love the idea of imagine playing D&D and you literally can pick all a different wizard, spell class. The illusionist, the evoker, the summoner. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be fun. I think you could make it work. I just fucking magic and spells and God, how do you even approach that 4D?
Can you not imagine casting spells because magic is not real? Call back to the previous convo.
That's actually really funny. Yeah. How do you do it? How do you describe it? Just describe it. No.
The best part about an illusionist is coming up with all of these weird illusions, and the game master doesn't know if they're real or fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I would go for an illusion. Oh God, illusions. That's a 3-hour discussion right there. We can't even. I can't even open that jar right now.
That one has to be tackled like in a 40 game at some point. Like, okay,
Yep.
I just want to see it happen, how they cast illusions and deal with illusions without
Sure.
having to ask for clarifications of, that's an illusion, right, Game Master? I
Right.
choose to disbelieve,
Of
and then
course.
looking like a schizophrenic, who doesn't know reality from fiction in a role
Right.
playing game, which adds another
Right.
layer of confusion to everything.
We're getting into some Inception territory. We're in a dream
Yes,
within a dream.
yes.
Got to tip
It's
you over
like,
into a
okay, we all
bathtub.
watched Total Recall, but we understood it's a movie, right? Right? It was a movie. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger out there. What do
Yeah.
you mean? This is reality.
I don't even know anything about Mars. You blabbed, Quaid. You blabbed about Mars. No, it's anyway, I don't know.
I held you in too long. Do you want more comments, or we can wrap it up and stop it here?
How about we do one more and we'll make it an even way over what I said I would do, but
Okay, let's pick the
I'm
best one.
enjoying I'm enjoying myself and
You
hopefully you
pick
guys
your
are too.
favorite comment, the one you wanna talk.
Oh shit, you mean in the YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Is that what you want me to look at? Pick a YouTube comment?
Oh, whatever. I mean, what I meant chat, but whatever you mean. So you get the last word.
You meant YouTube chat, live chat?
Yeah, chat, live chat, comments, whatever.
All right, let's talk about Daryl's. He says some systems require more auto character talk than others. Yes, we touched upon this a little bit, and I think that is it's. I'm curious as to the future of how 4D will operate and how it may impact game design. We're already seeing it from some of our people like Uriah and Space Roadie,
Yeah,
who both made really cool. I think you'd call them basic roleplay rips. I'm very impressed with what those guys are doing. And it seems to be let's strip away that which we don't need in favor of seeing if we can use this to facilitate role play. But I also think systems like anything, I think Tyler mentioned this recently and I commended him for it. And to be a good strategist, you have to know how to take very complicated things and reduce them to something very simple. That's what strategy
yeah.
is. You go, we need to get our dollars here. We need to get our troops here. Well, the path to that is a nightmare. The good strategist can simplify that into concepts that are easily digestible by people. And I think that's what we're looking at here. If you want to run a module, you read through the module, you take what you want, ignore the rest. So I think we're going to see more of that as we get into this, and hopefully there can be systems out there that are still interesting and fun to engage with because
Oh
role
yeah.
playing is also a game, and I do like games. I play a lot of card games, I play a lot of board games because I like interacting with game systems. So I don't know if I'm quite ready to divorce myself from all of the more complicated systems in the name of the great and almighty 4D, but I am
Oh,
willing to
it's in the
alter
name
them.
of the crusade. I'll have you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I am interested. I am interested though, in maybe fucking with those systems a little to get them to where they work for what we're trying to do. And if they don't, we can keep the OOC as minimal as possible. So, yeah, I think Daryl is right, and I also think that there's a path around that, which is kind of neat. So, yeah, man, it's there is a strategy afoot when it comes to how do you take systems that are difficult. How do you get the point of a module across? Like I'm
Yeah.
all for buy it. You want to buy a module and steal their ideas, go ahead, but make them work for your table. Forget like you need to know what page is what. Forget what level. Forget that shit. It's just garbage. What do you need for the table? Scale it down, rip it out, take what you want, and improve upon the thing. And I think that's a metaphor for the entire experiment, I keep calling it, of 4D, which is like, let's strip away the shit and get to what we want to do. And I think that's going to
Exactly.
be true in the systems. I think that's going to be true in all of this stuff. And I'm here for it, man. I'm excited to see how it goes.
To
That's it.
push the
That's all I got.
metaphor, to push the metaphor further, it's like Gordon Ramsay eating a dish. Like if it's on a plate, it has to be edible. Don't put some plastic flour on there just to look pretty, because it's gonna taste like shit. And same, yeah, the
Yeah.
systems of the role playing game should help with role playing Role playing the game, guys.
Yes.
If it doesn't, what is its purpose? Really?
This I'll leave this quote with you, and I'm sure Tyler will appreciate it. And I'm going to paraphrase because I won't have the quote entirely
Beautiful.
accurate.
That's
And
how
I
we
think
do it
he's
here.
getting. I think he is. He's alluding to it. Tyler is. Bruce Lee said something pretty brilliant. He said, "It's not the addition to you over the course of your training in your life. It's the hacking away of non-essentials." And that's the statue metaphor, right?
Ah,
Take away the things that are stopping you from being the thing, right? That's
yeah.
what we're trying to do here. Don't keep adding shit. Role playing games have been around since 1970, whatever the fuck, and there have been a lot of things added to it over the years. Maybe the approach is sometimes to go back to nature, right? Cast away your phones, go back into the woods. That's what we're trying to do, I think. Hack away the non-essentials, hack away the things that are just in the way of making you be able to realize what you want to realize, man. That's just that's like a metaphor for life. Eliminate the distraction, eliminate the fluff and the fat and the trash, like get rid of it. That's it. I'm done ranting.
But as
I
long
love
as you
you
guys
guys for
have
giving me
fun,
the time.
it's gonna be okay. So that's fine.
God damn
People
you, Noir.
understand. If they don't understand, please leave a comment and watch the 3 hours again because well, I have
1
already
hour.
so
By the
yeah,
way, 1 hour became 3, but I'm
Yes.
fine with that.
I'm happy. I'm sorry. I do have problems of just keeping going because I go for the vibe check.
Me too. So, hey, good news. We vibed. We had a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I think chat's responding positively to it. And dude, if we would have talked for 50 minutes of awkward weirdness, we would have learned something. That maybe this
Yeah.
doesn't work, the two of us talking, but it did, and that's great. So,
All right.
very cool, man. I really
Gonna end the
appreciate it,
stream.
buddy.
Thank you guys.
Much love. Thank you, guys. See you later, chat.